Welcome back to Crosshair here on the GDQ Hotfix. My name is Dangerous, and this is the show that features runs with bullets. First-person shooters, third-person shooters, shmups, bullet hells, lasers, rockets, grenades, would you kindly, and shotgun shells. If it's got bullets in it, you can find it here on Crosshair. If you got a run that you think qualifies for any of our GDQ Hotfix shows, we are taking runs that you can submit to us. So head on over to gdq.gg/submit/hotfix and fill out that run submission form. You might just find yourself on a future episode of the GDQ Hotfix. Folks, this is an episode I have wanted to put together for quite a while, and unfortunately, putting all three Bioshock games in one episode is just a little bit too long for one full episode of Crosshair. But that just means we're going to have more episodes of Bioshock in the future. So, it's cool. The big one for today is going to be Bioshock Infinite. That's going to take up the whole last chunk of today's show. And the one and only Variety Pack is here to show that off, showing off Gearless. But leading into that, we just established this is now the most occurring appearance person on Crosshair to this date. Gulch was only here about a month ago showing off Fear, and he's back again today to show off Bioshock. So Gulch, take it away, my friend.
All right, hello everyone. Welcome. We're going to be running Bioshock today. I'm so honored to be here. Bioshock is one of my favorite game series. I run all the Bioshock games. Bioshock 1 being the fastest. So if you haven't seen a Bioshock run lately, you're in for a sweet treat. This one is full of action, nonstop, super fast-paced. Super excited to show off this run. And I also have a commentator here with me today. Tendy, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Tenders, or Tendy, call me whatever. I haven't actually run Bioshock 1, but I know quite a bit about the game, so I'm here to vibe out and maybe help Gulch out when he needs me to.
He is an excellent Bioshock Infinite runner, though, so yeah, shout out to Tendy.
Hey.
Thank you for being here, Tendy. So this run starts off, we're going to load this crash site save. Loading this crash site save just prevents us from watching the beginning cutscene where we are in the plane and crash into the sea. So time will start once we get control of our character here. So in 3, 2, 1, go.
And good luck.
Thank you. All right, to start out, we're just going to cut right through this fire. This fire does do some damage, but it's so minimal that it would take you a very, very long time to actually die from that fire. It is possible. It takes 20 hours or something. It is ridiculous, but we can just cut right through. Don't really mind the little bit of damage you take. And we are heading into the iconic Bioshock lighthouse down to the bathysphere here. There's a new thing that we're going to be showing off here. There is a new mod for the Bioshock 1 speedrun that is integrated with LiveSplit. And you'll see what it does in a second. First, we're going to do our first skip of the run, where we are going to walk backwards, pull this bathysphere lever, and jump. That's going to let us go on top of the bathysphere. And now the intro speed up mod that we have running, it's integrated through LiveSplit, and it speeds up the intro. As you can see here, we're going incredibly fast, record speed in this bathysphere. But this speeds up the bathysphere ride.
To be.
Oh yeah, definitely. We got places to be. We want to go to Rapture ASAP. So it speeds up that initial bathysphere ride as well as this beginning cutscene that we have with Johnny. So our poor friend Johnny is going to die in record time here, as you'll see.
Rip Johnny.
Rip Johnny.
Rip Johnny, limb from limb. I mean, what? That guy did. He did.
I'm going to pick up this radio, and you can hear in the background, if you listen closely enough, you can hear the Johnny cutscene audio playing as it would be if you were running through the game normally. So you can hear right now he is actually dying as we're about to exit the bathysphere. So that's a super nice quality of life change to the speedrun. That saves about 3 minutes of RTA real time. And if you'll see as we get into the first couple levels, they're very reset heavy. They're very, very hard tricks in the beginning. So having that extra speed in the beginning where it's all dead time gets sped up really saves a lot of time and headache for the runner.
And it's not the first time runners have done that. I know Dishonored does the same thing where they have a cutscene speed up mod that speeds up live split along with the game, which is really cool.
Yeah. And as Dan just mentioned, it does speed up the timer as well. So it doesn't change anything in regards to the speedrun itself. But here we're going to quick save, interact with this Electrobolt plasmid, and then press escape. And we're going to make a hard save here so that we can load the save. So we essentially just picked up Electrobolt on the next frame and saved on the next frame and loaded that. And we're able to pick up that and skip the cutscene. Pick up Electrobolt and skip the cutscene. I just switched to hard difficulty there. We're going to be taking an intentional death in the next room. If I switch to hard difficulty at the apex of my jump like I did there, I'll actually take a little bit of extra damage so that the splicer up ahead will have to hit me less and we can die a little bit faster. We're currently getting pulled back towards that electrical cutscene. And we have to constantly be jumping in order to make progress forward. So I'm going to pick up
the cutscene's like, don't you dare come back here. Come back here, player.
The game really wants you to take a look at the cutscene. So it just keeps pulling you back towards the machine over and over and over again.
So I just did a safety quick save here. We're going to have the splicer kill us in a second. And we're going to respawn at the closest Vita chamber, which is in this room. And I'm going to do a pretty precise setup. I'm going to crouch in a corner and line up my wrench reticle with this little line in the tile. Switch my difficulty back to easy, and then not touch my mouse. So the cutscene is going to play that usually plays when you pick up Electrobolt, which is us like stumbling backwards and falling off of a balcony. And essentially what we're going to do here is skip the whole second section of Welcome to Rapture. I can explain it in a second here, but let me focus on lining this up this shot.
This little fish looks like he just had his cherry popped.
Okay, we didn't get it initially, so I'm going to wait for us to stand up. Essentially what we're trying to do is hit the door all the way at the end of the level with Electrobolt. This specific door in Welcome to Rapture has unique properties where we're able to use Electrobolt to shoot the door and go to the next level. So what we just did is lined up a really precise shot from out of bounds, shot that door, which is this door over here, with Electrobolt, and that takes us on to the next level, medical pavilion.
We believe it to be a dev tool, as far as I still remember properly. Where you can just, normally you shoot it from inside of bounds, but now because of the cutscene, you just go straight through a wall and zap it from Narnia, basically.
Yep. All right, so I intentionally looked down there in order to not hit a look trigger, and we're gonna take the splicer on a little journey here. This is the first instance you're going to see of wall clips. So I'm going to go into this corner, damage the splicer once, and shock it with Electrobolt. I move this cash register a little bit forward so I could jump on it and get onto this planter. And then I'm going to crouch near this branch and save once I see that she is no longer shocked. And I'm going to walk on the splicer's head and immediately flip through the wall. Yep. So that skips having to get the incinerate plasmid, and we can just grab telekinesis right away and beeline it towards the end of the level.
It's quite a difficult trick as well, because basically what you're trying to do is you stand on top of the splicer's head and it just starts doing a 360 animation, and the moment you clip back through the wall on the other side, you have to punch the splicer so it dies and you fall off of it. But if you do it too late or too early, you get stuck in the wall.
And here, we activated the look trigger that we were intentionally avoiding triggering. That's to get the splicer to walk down the stairs. And I'm going to line up in a spot here, bait an attack from him, and shock him in place. So that way we can walk directly onto his head. And using the telekinesis plasmid, we can do something that we call a splicer surf to pick up the body and throw ourselves through a wall. Here we are at the end of Medical Pavilion.
You have to specifically walk on top of the splicer's head. You cannot jump on it or fall on top of it. It just doesn't work. So you have to find certain collision that basically lines you up with the splicer's head perfectly, so you can walk on top of it.
Yeah, we want to make sure we're at the exact right height so that we just cleanly walk onto it, like Tendy said. And here we're immediately going to do another splicer surf. So I'm going to pick up this red barrel here. I'm going to use it to kill one of these rocket turrets. And I want to kill a guy over here as well. I'm going to set up on this little balcony, wait for the splicer to move in the correct position, shock him, and walk onto his head. Kill him with his hat there, and I'm going to surf over to this door.
Hats hurt.
They do. They're very painful. So this skip here, we call it gate skip. We're just going to click through 2 gates here with the splicer, put our weapons in the pneumo to open up this door. And we're not quite done yet with the splicer surf. So we're going to bring the body over to the other side here, do something that we call peachy skip. So normally there's like a mini boss fight in this room that we're supposed to do with Peachy, but here, in order to skip it, we're going to set this body on fire and clip through the gate right in front of us. Bring that body through the gap. We need to set it on fire because, as you might have remembered, in Medical Building, we're supposed to grab the Incinerate Plasmid to melt ice, but we didn't grab it, so we can set a body on fire to melt the ice to the end of this level here. Prevents us from requiring to have that Plasmid.
Coach also upgraded his grenade launcher damage. It's going to be necessary later in the run.
Yeah.
Trying to think of a joke about having a smoking hot body and melting the ice. Yada yada. So
There's something there. Here we're just gonna jump through the water to save a little bit of time. It's faster than walking. There's something called a item boost that we can do if we walk into this wall at high FPS and jump. We can just get flung like that.
Yeah, that wall specifically, at least that ramp specifically, has a little bit of a weird collision. It's not really, it doesn't function like a normal ramp where you can just walk on it. You have to kind of jump on it because for some reason they built the collision wrong. So you can also just walk into the wall and do an item boost off of it.
Here we're gonna do a little bit of input buffering. So we're gonna quick save, enter that, interact with that lever, and then walk backwards to allow us to get under the door before it closes. And here we're just doing another, something I would call an item fling. Save a little bit of time walking. This is more of a swag strat, but it's pretty cool.
It saves like 2 seconds.
Yeah. And speaking of swag strats, you can do an item boost by setting up this rock here in a nice position. And if we run and jump along it, we can get a lot of speed.
That was clean.
Thank you.
Also, we're gonna be testing telekinesis quite a bit this run.
Yeah.
A lot of testing.
We do lots and lots of testing.
We use this audio logs, specifically the testing telekinesis one, to skip certain dialogue triggers.
Yeah, you can use any audio diary, but that's just the most convenient one that we pick up right. I picked that up right before I grabbed the telekinesis plasmid in Medical Pavilion. Here's another one of these item flings, so we didn't get a chance to explain it earlier, but if you walk forward, jump, and use telekinesis while having high FPS on an item like that, a medium-sized item, you can just fling yourself upwards. You're essentially picking the object up under your feet and moving upwards with it. I'm kind of taking this box for safety, but we're actually gonna hopefully not need to use that because we're gonna set up for another splicer surf here. Grab this bag of chips and push these pallets forward and save. And get on top of this in order to be at the right height in order to jump on the splicer.
Yeah, this pallet is a bit tricky at times. It likes to throw you off of it.
Oh. Oop. Going a little bit too early here. There we go. Get on the slicer side just like this. Then once we kill them, we're going to be able to splicer surf on them. So just pick up the body, throw it around a little bit. We're doing this to skip the whole level of Arcadia. You could do this with a item boost, like with the box, but it's a little bit faster to do the splicer surf, save some time over walking. So we're gonna throw the body through the door at the end of Arcadia, and then throw it towards the end of the bathysphere so that we can just exit the level just like that.
Yep. Coach also made sure to land in front of the bathysphere because the trigger for Fort Frolic is actually right in front of the entrance. So if you don't actually set your feet onto the floor, it will not trigger at all, and you just have to walk back out.
Yep. And Fort Frolic, one of the shortest levels in the game. You see the bathysphere here, it's about to sink. We're gonna put this briefcase down to set up another item fling. So walk forward, jump, use telekinesis, gonna fling us upwards. And the bathysphere did sink down into the water, but the lever is still there, so we can just land down near the bathysphere, select the lever, and exit to the next level.
I'm so glad that you can do that. That's an inside joke, by the way, for chat.
The interesting thing about item fling specifically is that if you grab it with telekinesis, the item actually loses collision with the player character for a few seconds. And after you let it go, it takes a second or two for it to regain the collision. So if you stand right in the center, you basically just get teleported on top of it. So that's why you can stand inside of an item to do an item boost and don't have to like walk on top of it perfectly like you do with splicer surfing.
Yeah.
That's a grenade one.
Grenade one.
Well, it's a grenade. It's also a tuna can.
It's a can of beans. Yeah, we established before the run started that the grenades that you use are food cans. So I figured when we got to Fort Frolic, I had to make a joke of some sort about can of food, and I'm glad that I can do that.
You definitely can.
Keep on following up the splicer.
Splicer is being obnoxious.
Okay, we're gonna use a machine gun, play this a little safer. For some reason it does not.
It just doesn't feel like it.
Yeah, I think I just kept on hitting its weapon. If you, I didn't explain that, but you just did a splicer serve just to clip through the door and hit past this and go on to the next level. If any items from the splicer, like hats or weapons, if you fall on them as you kill the enemy, you're not going to be able to stay on top of their bodies. So something to look out for. So I just put a radio message there and interacted with the door to Hephaestus. And you might be asking yourself, why am I trying to go back to the previous level? Well, we're going to interact with the cutscene and go back to Hephaestus in order to skip that specific cutscene with Andrew Ryan. So I'm going to open up this grate.
Andrew really wants to talk to us here, but we're just going to get yanked back to Hephaestus, and then we're going to load back into this level right after.
So whenever we play a radio diary here, and whenever we play a radio diary in the radio diary and there's radio messages playing, as soon as that diary plays, all the radio messages stop and we go back and go back to the previous level. It works like that way with things we need to progress forward. So you might notice at the end of levels that I'll use that radio diary button and manually select that in order to skip that dialogue and just go on to the next level. So we entered that Andrew Ryan cutscene, went back to Hephaestus. So that first cutscene is playing now. And we're gonna bring this napalm along with us because there is a gate blocking us from just continuing forward through the level. And then we're gonna skip the second part of the cutscene as well here. So let me just put this napalm down. I kind of want it oriented forward so that we go in the direction that it's facing. If the item's like sideways, it's not gonna be easy to do item fling on that. So we just wanna go in the direction that the item is facing. We're gonna hit the second part of the Andrew Ryan cutscene, make a save, and then we're gonna load that save. It's gonna allow us just to walk right through.
Also, just really quickly, a heads up for people who might be sensitive to flashing lights. This very short cutscene is just very bright.
Yeah, good call out. Thank you.
You will be happy to know that chat is delivering on the can puns. We got can of worms, no can do. So
Love it.
Flashing lights are over, by the way.
We just played a couple more audio diaries to get past that lock gate. And I'm going out of RCC now.
The most cursed level.
Yeah. If you saw so I ran this game at SGDQ, this past SGDQ. If you saw that run, I did a complex strat during that run to skip that entire sequence where we just kind of clip through the wall using a bot. I didn't opt to go for it this time because it's been a little bit since I played. It takes a lot to like de-rust that strat, and it is a nightmare to do in run. So I decided to just go for the fling route here. But if you want to check that out,
the run's still plenty fast regardless. So
it's one of the most difficult skips in any Bioshock game, probably ever.
Yeah, and
Because
most
you
of the time
cannot see
you just
anything
lose
either.
time. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can do a little.
and just to be clear, like Gulch has done it before. Like he absolutely can.
Oh yeah, it's just
I
a
just-
horrible skip to do.
I can do it, but I won't do it.
He can. Yeah.
We're just gonna have to get this little sister over to the door to
Easier to help
trigger the next part, because otherwise this door will just not open, and we're gonna be just standing here waiting.
Yeah, we're completely like locked out of our weapons, our plasmids here. So unfortunately, there's not a way to skip any of this that we know of yet. But maybe someday.
Ooh, that sounds like you just said there's a time for an announcement.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, go
Heck yeah. Yeah, folks, if you are not part of the GDQ Discord, you should definitely join that if you're looking to get more involved with the GDQ community. You can type !Discord in chat and add the hotfix role. That will keep you up to date on upcoming events. You can chat with staff like myself and more. Again, !Discord in chat to get more info and a link to that.
Excellent. Thank you, Dan. Oh, and here, if you can see, maybe I can show the can of sardines. It's not rotating fast enough.
I
almost.
can't.
Onto Apollo Square. This is one of my favorite levels, just because the trick that we do to skip this level is so flashy. It's so much fun. So starting off here, we're going to do an item boost on this grenade, hopefully. There we go, get a little bit of a boost.
Nice.
And we're going to walk over and activate a splicer. Jump onto this little medical station, because it's at the perfect height that we need to get on top of the splicer. So save here, just so I can, just in case I mess up like that, and I can reload. And on top of the splicer's head, I'm going to remove its mask because, as I mentioned before, those can kind of get in the way when you're doing these splicer surfs. They can knock you off the body. So now that we're on the body, we're just going to navigate around inbounds and go out of bounds through a wall here. Go
Nice.
body down below through a no-player zone, down to the bottom of the level, and take a couple of intentional bits of damage to get ourselves down to 1 HP, and exit on to Point Prometheus.
So good. Such a good
That
skill.
level's so cool. Basically, your legs are stuck to the splicer regardless of where the splicer goes, even though the player cannot travel through the no-player zone. The moment the splicer touches a location where the player can go, you will just teleport there.
Yep.
Also intentional death.
Yep, we took an intentional death here to spawn out of the Vita chamber early. We're gonna set up a item fling on this propane tank here, get on top of this railing, and we're gonna jump on this to avoid a trigger. We have actually Fontaine here, so I'm going to knock him down with a grenade, and then just continue forward. That saves like a second or two compared to just waiting. We'd have to wait for him to get to a specific spot, but since I was able to knock him down there, I can just keep on going, which is really nice. Here, it's a kid that we call Last Chance Kid, because if you mess it up, you just hear Last Chance Kid over and over again.
Last chance, kid.
And he
Nice.
goes.
Nice. T-pose moment.
All right. And on to Proving Grounds. This is the scariest level in the game by far. It is the second to last level, but this is essentially the final boss of the speedrun.
The little ones will lead you to Fontaine.
We like to call it Proving Grounds because Gulch made a typing error once and it just kept it a meme forever. So it's now officially called Proving Grounds instead of Proving Grounds.
Yeah. So I went to that room to spawn the splicer. I'm gonna bring him over to this corner here to get on top of his head. That's okay. Try again.
Oh no, I think someone suggested that we rename the skip Last Can Kid.
Alright, this place has got a mind of its own today. Come on, buddy.
Hey, he's not feeling like it.
There we go.
There we go.
There we go.
On top of his head. And kill him with the grenade launcher. I'll do a quick save, and we're going to try to fly through that wall over there. The splice is in a weird spot, so I kind of have to curve it here. But
Nice.
I'm gonna grab this trash can and jump with it in this corner to stand it up straight. And fell down. Try again.
Yeah, this trash can is, well, trash to set up straight. Sometimes it just falls over for no good reason. So
If it falls down,
to
it could lose its collision. So it's better just to reload and go again. So here,
we're also picking up these proxy mines on purpose.
we're gonna need them for later. This guy doesn't have a hat, so I'll just let him walk. We can sometimes grab the hat and make him come over to this trash can a little bit early, but it's okay. I'm gonna jump on, walk onto his head.
Yeah, some fancy glasses.
Wiggle on over to this door, and in this level we're supposed to go on a long escort mission with little sisters around to various bodies to harvest some Adam, but we just skipped the first two harvests with that wall clip that we did, the one up here and one over here. And we're setting up for a trick here, so we want the sister to crawl when she gets out of this door. That's how we know we did it right. Okay, perfect. And we're gonna get rid of this turret. And get rid of this turret. Get the sister to come over to us and stop. Let's get here. The little sister is facing the wall there. That setup is very intentional. We'll see why in a second. So we're gonna make our way through this level. We're supposed to kill 6 different splicers in this. It's essentially a harvest that we're starting early. We're supposed to bring the sister normally all the way around over here to start the harvest, but we can start it from that beginning room. I'm gonna kill this enemy so I can grab its proxy mines. Perfect. And I'm gonna set up right here.
Yeah, there's a splicer on the ceiling right here.
Yep. Oh, we're
gonna
still
need it.
stuck.
That is an interesting win.
All right.
Okay, this place is having a hard time. Whoops, just reload that. That's what's
don't wanna
supposed to
say
happen.
That was not supposed to happen.
Normally they don't do that, but today they can.
Yeah, I think its arm got stuck in the ceiling.
All right, so we got on top of this splicer, taking it all the way down here. There's one last splicer in this wave, and it's this one right here, so we can just get rid of it. I know it's the last one because it's a spider splicer, so there's 6 enemies in total we have to kill, and once we do that, I'll take us over to this little sister here so we can see what happened. What the sister is going to do is just crawl through the wall, very casual like, and that's going to spawn the last needle that we need to exit the level. So normally you're supposed to escort the sister all the way to the end here, and she'll crawl into the vent and give us a needle eventually, but here it just automatically spawns since she went out of bounds. The game just assumes that we're finished with it. So
She just did every introvert's dream right there. Social gathering. Just crawl straight through the wall.
yeah, and here we are on to the final boss, Frank Fontaine.
Already.
We just constituted that Fontaine is actually allergic to sardine cans, so we're gonna start blasting him with sardines.
And he is also from Boston.
So one of the major reasons why we picked up the grenade launcher damage upgrade is for this final fight. So we're able to put down 3 proxy mines, and that'll defeat the first wave. So Once we stab him with the needle, he'll jump down, automatically land on the proxy mines, and then you can place some more down for the next wave.
I love how much the needle moves around while it's in him. Like it's not supposed to move around that much.
This is what you get taught in medical school, no?
Oh God, I hope not.
All right, and we have one last wave here. Gonna shoot him with our regular frag grenades. 3 should do it. And last stab, and this is time.
GG. Well done.
Well, yeah, that's Bioshock. It's a super fast run now. I recommend if you're interested in running, now is a great time. We have that cutscene speed up mod that got released in 2025. It's integrated with LiveSplit, so it's super easy to use. There's also a brand new tutorial for Bioshock that includes the beginning, intermediate, and advanced strats. So no matter what your level is or goal is with speedrunning this game, there's a comprehensive guide out there that can get you going. So I also want to thank Tendi for being here with me at the late hour to just help commentate the run. Really appreciate it. And then make sure to check out Variety's run after this. Variety is an excellent speedrunner, amazing at Bioshock Infinite.
Oh yeah. And then tell people where they can find you on the internet, Gulch.
Yeah, you can find me at twitch.tv/Gulch2. I speedrun mainly FPS horror games. My main series are Bioshock and Fear, so if you're into those, feel free to give me a follow.
Heck yeah. Yeah, thank you both again for being here, and go follow Gulch. I hang out in his stream all the time. He's a super cool dude, and we will see him again in 2 weeks on the next episode of Crosshair, I'm sure, since I apparently can't get rid of this guy. Not that I would ever want to. You're a good dude, and that's why I bring you back all the time for more runs.
Thank you.
But yeah, folks, we're going to take a quick break in order to give you all a chance to stretch and get some water. But I want to thank everyone for supporting the Games Done Quick channel with your subscriptions, gift subs, and bits. Your contributions help to keep shows like Crosshair and the one coming up after this, Speedruns from the Crypt. Your contributions help keep those shows running. So if you're enjoying the stream, consider subscribing. You can get exclusive emotes, ad-free viewing, and access to chat during the replays. And you can always support the stream. Welcome back to Crosshair. We just finished watching a Bioshock run with Gulch. And coming up next, we've got Bioshock Infinite Gearless, which is not a category you see too often in showcases, but the one and only A_variety_ is here to show that off. So Variety, take it away.
All right. Thank you very much, Dangerous. Yes, hello. My name is A Variety Puck, and we will be traversing our way through the city of Columbia, not Rapture this time, in our speedrun of Bioshock Infinite Gearless. Now, that's, like Dane said, kind of an interesting category, one not often seen, unless you've seen my runs before. But I'll explain it as we get into it, since there's quite the long intro to get through. So I'll give you a countdown, but it's going to be in a very ish scale, because time starts when the dialogue begins and not when I hit start the actual game. So I'll give you a 3-ish, 2-ish, 1-ish, start. All right.
Good luck, Ish.
Thank you very much, Ish. All right. So yes, this is Gearless. We watched a very, very, very quick and very precise speedrun just done by Gulch. Wonderful job by Gulch. Can we get a round of applause to Gulch in the chat as well? But you might have remembered our host saying that
As compared to what? Standing?
Not standing, rowing.
he wasn't able to fit all 3 Bioshock games into one segment of the show. And
Yeah.
it is here where I confess to you all that that is my fault. If played on PC, Bioshock Infinite is actually very, very fast. There have been so many advancements to that game. I believe the current world record holder with the mods that are available for the game, it's just below 1 hour and 30 minutes if done on any percent. That's done by Prisoner, who is basically the GOAT of all of the Bioshock games.
Absolute goat, Prisoner.
Oh yeah. We're playing this not only on a category that's not any percent, we're also playing this on the Nintendo Switch. you might be familiar with Bioshock Infinite runs done by Blood Thunder on main stage GDQs. And it employs the use of something known as the HRH mod, which means that you're able to get a gear known as Hill Runner's Hat, HRH, without having to deal with the RNG nonsense that's involved getting that gear.
Shall we tell him?
It absolutely demolishes the any percent speedrun on PC. It is, in addition to the advancements that HRH provides, the PC run just has significantly more glitches to it because of the additional frames. For example, I believe you need something upwards of 300 frames to do a full any percent run of Bioshock Infinite at the optimal level. And as you are probably familiar, the Nintendo Switch is lucky to get anything over, even remotely resembling 30. So we have to make a few concessions for the Nintendo Switch run. But in the way that Gulch at the end of his run was saying that there are a lot of practice tools for Bioshock 1 at this point, there's a really great community surrounding it. I am of the very high opinion that gearless for the Switch or the PC is probably like one of the best introductory categories if you're just like wanting to get your toe into like just speedrunning in general, I suppose. But if you wanted to like have a particular connection with Infinite and you're a little bit scared of like the high FPS tricks and all that stuff, gearless is a really good way to amend that. If it was not obvious, gearless means that we will not be picking up any gears. And, that's somewhat useful for the PC run. Maybe not useful, but it's
all right.
Significant for the PC run because there's like a bunch of different things that you can't do with Hill Runner's Hat. But for the Switch version and all subsequent console versions,
Make yourself ready, Pilgrim.
it is, as you are probably familiar, notoriously difficult to mod Switch. And because of that, we do not have access to the Hill Runner's Hat mod in the same way that the PC does. Meaning that if we are going to collect Hill Runner's Hat in a Switch or literally any console run, we would be stuck grinding over and over and over a 1 in like 52-ish chance, which is absolutely awful. No one likes doing it. I run all of the categories on the Switch version, and many of them, if not all of them, or like with the exception of like 2 or 3, require you to get Hill Runner's Hat. I believe the exceptions that I can think of offhand are gearless, obviously. Low percent, where you pick up as few things as possible, and also gunless, where you don't pick up a gun. Hill Runner's Hat is not particularly useful there. But yeah, repeating a 1 in 52-ish chance over and over and over again, absolutely heinous, diabolical, other negatively connotated words. So gearless, if you're going to be running Bioshock Infinite on a console, is the, in my opinion, best way to experience Bioshock Infinite speedrunning. If you find yourself stuck on playing it on console, which I do tend to find myself because I'm not a huge fan of PC runs personally. So yeah, gearless, not only will we be not picking up Hill Runner's Hat, we will also not be picking up any other gears, things like Sugar Rush and Fleet Feet. I'll explain what those are as we go along when we actually become relevant. But as you've seen just in the background, we are playing as Booker DeWitt, who has been tasked to rescue, I've heard it so much, I actually forgot it now. What is the tagline of this game? Bring us the girl and wipe away the debt. So we'll be tasked to bring Elizabeth back, as you might be familiar, but we'll be doing it in a few different glitchy ways. Now, what I still find really interesting about gearless is that you're still actually able to do most of the skips of any percent, albeit in slightly different ways. So all of the really big skips, the ones that, the eye-catching ones, all of the ones that are, the ones that you advertise, they're actually able to be done, even on the Nintendo Switch version, even without Hill Runner's Hat. It just takes a little bit more effort, and although I am typically a fairly lazy person, I am willing to put in that effort.
we'll see till Judgment Day.
Okay.
Such questions to myself, unless I want to.
We're about to be drowned.
On this day,
Ever so slightly, just slightly drowned by a priest.
As a treat.
Yeah, in this little prayer circle here.
Is it someone new? Someone from the Sodom below? Newly come to
Wait for him to finish his monologue. But yeah, running this game on the Switch is a very interesting experience. It is one of the first games that I learned. I did the, what do you call it? I did the DLCs to this game first because they are shorter and got me sort of used to the controls. But when I graduated to running the main game, I found it very accessible, very not easy, because no speedrun is easy at the top level, as we all know, but it was manageable, and I felt inclined to keep practicing it. So if you have any inclination to run Bioshock Infinite and you feel like you're stuck because you have to run on because you don't have a PC to run on, I would highly recommend looking into Gearless, because it is a perfect storm of good things and getting to sort of relax a little bit. That's what I like about it. Yeah, I see in chat, Gulch is mentioning the Buriality Episode 1 speedrun. The Episode 1 speedrun is fantastic. It's really tight. It's really fast-paced, lots of skips, and you're able to beat it in just under the time it takes to do a Bioshock 1 run. I think Gulch would agree with me when I say that Buriality Episode 2 is perhaps the worst Bioshock speedrun on the planet. It is diabolical. It is terrible. And I'll explain why after I do this fun little trick here, where we don't really want to see this platform go all the way down. So I'm going to jump on the railing here, wait for a cue in the music, and then jump my way around the trigger and just fall to the ground. But yeah, Buriality Episode 2 is absolutely terrible. It has filled me with a rage and contempt beyond anything I am capable of verbalizing. The vast majority, and I do mean the majority of the run, is comprised of cutscenes. I believe I timed it. I think it's like 60% of the game is cutscenes. Even more if you're doing any percent. I think it's around 75%. It's terrible. And I don't typically like to be here on a public forum saying this speedrun sucks. You should never do it. Because I make exceptions. I do make exceptions, and Buriality Episode 2 is one of them. But, like I said, Episode 1 is fantastic. So if you want a stepping stone into running Bioshock Infinite, Buriality Episode 1 is a really good way as well. We are able to jump over the barriers just as the commentary in the background says the word righteousness. And you might, if you're familiar with this game, you might be familiar with a particularly uncomfortable cutscene that this game has to offer. Not only does it waste time, but thankfully in Gearless, we're able to skip it. So it's good for a couple of reasons we're able to skip it, and maybe use something called raffle skip to achieve this. There's going to be a sign, and that sign has very convenient collision. And what's really interesting to note is that everything you see in the background in this little carnival scene does not have collision. So we're going to be making use of those two things in tandem by running over to the sign, doing a couple precise jumps on the corners of the collision. Jump, 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 and all of this is completely collisionless. So run over to this corner, do one final jump, and we have completely skipped the raffle cutscene. That also means that we don't get the fireman enemy that spawns here. But you might notice that this means we don't have a gun and we don't have any plasmids. I promise you, this is not a gunless run, although those do exist. We will be picking up a gun and we will be picking up plasmids in just a couple seconds here. Okay, so we are playing, since we're playing on the Switch, we have what is it called? The Complete Edition, something ridiculous like that. So we have a bunch of DLC things that we need to pick up here. The main one in this speedrun being infusions. Infusions give us the choice to augment our health, our shield, or our magic power. And because, we're going to be needing to damage ourselves down to 0 a couple times in this speedrun. So we're going to pick the magic power. And you might have noticed there are a bunch of gears on that table. Many of them we pick up on any percent run, but because it's gearless, we're not going to pick any of them up. That was the fleet feet and the sugar rush stuff that I was mentioning beforehand. There's our gun. This is our trusty machine gun. We'll be using the machine gun for a little bit until we pick up the 2 guns that will stay with us for the rest of the game. There is our Devil's Kiss vigor. So now we have a vigor and we have a gun. Like I said, we are not going to be without combat for a little bit. Do a couple errant shots in there to make sure that door opens so we don't have to go all the way around the back end of the house. And we'll make our way into the Fraternal Order of the Raven. I believe that's what it's called. I can't remember. Yeah, Fraternal Order of the Raven. It's a little bit confusing because the plasmid or vigor that you're supposed to pick up in this area is called Murder of Crows. So a little bit of inconsistent marketing there, but that's okay. We're going to be wanting to pick up all of the infusions that we can at the very beginning of the run because we want to have the maximum magic power because, more damage is more damage. There's a couple exceptions to that, but we're going to want maximum magic power for, as much as we can for the best DPS that we can manage. Now, why is it called the Fraternal Order of the Raven? Well, it's because there is an enemy, well, they call it a crow, more inconsistent marketing, but there is an enemy called a crow who teleports around and has a bunch of birds. Kind of a really annoying enemy if you are familiar with these, what are they called? The Houdini splicers in Bioshock 1. We don't want to deal with it because teleporting around means that we can't hit him. So we're going to set a couple traps with our fireball vigor here. Turn around, look at this, pick it up, and hopefully, there we go, he should run directly into it. 2 fireballs should take him out immediately. Run past all the enemies, and use our wonderful little skyhook to make our way into the next section of the game. You'll notice that we didn't pick up the skyhook. The game just gives it to us anyway. It's really, really interesting because the vigor that we picked up, the Devil's Kiss vigor, the magic power that we've been using in low percent, which is typically reserved for picking up as few things as possible. We actually still do pick up Devil's Kiss, even though it's not necessary. That's because the game just gives it to us later on in the run. So in low percent, we just bite the bullet and pick it up. Now, I did say that we were going to be picking up all of the infusions that we could to increase our magic power, with a couple exceptions. This is one such exception. There's an infusion hidden in that little area over there, but we're not going to bother picking it up because it's a little bit too out of the way. We're going to want to get ahead of this payload here, so we're going to latch on directly in front of it, so we don't have to be stuck behind it as it moves along this trail. Now, if you are grinding for Hildener's Hat, which I really don't recommend you do at first if you're just doing gearless, but if you are grinding for Hildener's Hat, you actually do pick up some errant gears on the path, even though they don't actually do anything, because reducing your chances from 1 in 52 to as much as possible is really useful. So we pick up a couple errant gears in any percent just to make sure that we, just to make sure that we give ourselves the best chances of picking up Hildener's Hat when it comes the time to be convenient. Now, typically there's a lot to do in this particular cutscene that you can see in GDQ runs. I think Blood Thunder had it so like it was a mod that replaced this video camera with something a lot more entertaining. I think it was like his cat or something to that effect. But we actually do have a couple tasks that we must perform. We're going to be throwing some fireballs into this doorway on the Zeppelin, because there's going to be a host of enemies that spawns over there. I believe that should be fine. Good. So, as is common with a lot of games, particularly from this era, if there are enemies that are aggroed, if there are enemies that are after you or trying to kill you or whatever, the game will not let you interact with like, doors or levers or anything to that effect. This is a weird skip because it destroys the initial wave of enemies from this particular ambush. And once you do that, you are actually able to interact with the door, even though there are enemies still around. So hopefully, if I did my fireball aiming correctly, what will happen is we will see a big explosion,
Holy shit.
which should indicate to me that we are able to interact with this door very good without having to take out the rest of the enemies that are behind us.
Okay, I'm sure I can get this thing going.
The Lord forgives everything, but I'm just the prophet, so I don't have to. Amen.
Amen.
Wonderful. Okay, get rid of that guy just so he doesn't get in our way. And to propel herself as far as possible onto this railing, we'll just sort of strafe over here and attach ourselves onto the railing as soon as we fall down. Do a couple jumps along this railing so we don't actually have to sit and wait for it. We don't have any skip that we can do, just like the PC version does. And we will make our way to Monument Island. That is the first, at least my first split of the game done. And I am currently 0.2 seconds ahead. Awesome.
Hey, PB pace.
Technically, yeah. So this is Monument Island. It houses Elizabeth, and on the PC version, there's a bunch of really cool skips that you can do. You can like, there's like a big tower, and you're able to like do a bunch of like frame tricks that let you sort of scale that tower without having to like interact with the tower normally. That is to say, go up a bunch of stairs. We're again on a barely 30 FPS version of the game, and that means we're unfortunately not able to do it. So because we have so much downtime after we pick up that little infusion behind the counter there, this is a perfect time for any, I was about to say donations, geez, any announcements that you may have.
In fairness, you've done quite a few mainline runs, so it does make sense that Force of Habit would come back to you. But yeah, I'm happy to jump in. Folks, as a reminder, if you are unfamiliar with our Black and a Flash community, they are a community that uplifts and connects Black speedrunners of all levels, hosting special events throughout the year to raise money for charity and celebrate Black voices in the speedrunning scene. And they have an event coming up called Back to Black 2026 that is happening February 5th to the 8th. That is coming up very soon, actually, just a couple weeks. That is a 4-day speedrun marathon featuring Black speedrunners benefiting Race Forward. Use !schedule in Twitch chat to check out the event, or use gdq.gg /BAF, gdq.gg/BAF, to get more info about that event or about Black and a Flash in general. And you can go follow at blackandaflash.bsky.social on Blue Sky for updates about everything happening with Black and a Flash.
Wonderful. I believe I saw a comment in chat that says something to the effect of, I sort of long for a Bioshock Infinite that we didn't get to see. I don't necessarily, I like this game. I do like this game. It was my first Bioshock game of the 3. However, where I think that really comes into play is specifically Monument Island. It feels like there is so much cut content from this particular area. Like, it's huge. There's like a big open space at the very beginning. There are some corridors that would make for some interesting fights. Like, it feels like there really should be fights in this area, but there just isn't. So we're going to be running up these little ramps and watching Elizabeth introduce herself the only way that she knows how. Before stepping outside for a brief second.
Holy shit. All right. I can do this.
Was Bioshock 1 your first Bioshock game, Dave?
It was. I played all of them in order. I played Bioshock 1 back like at release, but then I don't think I played Bioshock Infinite until 2022, 2023. I was very late to the game on that one.
Stop it! Not here to hurt you.
Who are you?
Yeah, I played
name
Bioshock
is
1
DeWitt.
second in my line. I played Infinite, then
come to get
1,
you out
then
of
2.
Way.
Yeah, this is a very different game from the first
It
two.
is. It's very different.
So,
It was actually...
You've got to
Let
go.
me reminisce a little bit. It might actually be one of the first shooter games I ever actually played.
There's no way out. Trust me,
really?
I've-
Wow.
Which means that
You're too impatient.
going
that's
from Infinite to Bioshock 1 was actually like...
enough. What are you?
I know a lot of people like Bioshock 1 more than Infinite, but for me personally, I actually prefer Infinite just because the combat is so different. It's like way more modernized relative to Bioshock 1. Going to Bioshock 1 feels sluggish to me, from my relativistic perspective.
There's a way
But
out.
yeah, the combat in Infinite does feel more like it was modeled after games like Call of Duty, where you can only hold two weapons at once, and you have to kind of constantly swap. So it's got a little bit of a looter shooter thing going on, whereas like the original two were kind of a little bit more Doom-esque in you've got 8 weapon slots and you just pick up ammo for all of them as you go. So it's a very different combat system, but I do agree. I think three. Well, it is the third. Infinite's combat does have a lot more liquidity and a lot more movement and kind of fast-paced rat-a-tat to it.
that might just be my Gen Z brain, my Gen Z attention spanless brain talking, but like, I don't know. I think I prefer the faster combat style.
Call the elevator!
I am a Bayonetta speedrunner as well, so maybe those two things in combination.
That's a fast game right there.
Yes.
They were watching me?
Oh yeah, tenders. That always. I actually find myself
Why?
clicking in whenever I do
They put
Bioshock
me
1.
in
I
here.
find myself
What
clicking in
am
the
I?
stick, thinking that it will help me go faster in Bioshock 1.
Girls getting out of this
That's
tower.
not a mechanic that exists. Yeah.
That's a big bird.
It is a big bird. I have an emote in my own channel called Stab, and what my community likes to do is to try to, because there's Twitch delay, right? They like to try to post Stab early enough so that when it happens on their screen, it's perfectly timed with stabs. It's,
Nice.
Some of them have gotten really good at it. It's actually very impressive.
Which way?
A little more small talk before we get back into the actual run. Although Bioshock 2 I know is often maligned by the community, one thing that I will absolutely defend Bioshock 2 for is that even though I do like Infinite the best in terms of the main games, I think that Minerva's Den possibly has the best story of any Bioshock media that they have ever produced. Minerva's Den is frightfully good. Like it's very short, but it manages to be very emotionally engaging.
Top 5 DLC of all time for me.
Oh yeah, for sure, 100%. All right, time for the physically impossible cutscene. Should be dead there, and also dead there. That's fine. Ooh, Gulch is a Bioshock 2 best Bioshock person. Interesting.
I would agree in terms of gameplay. I would disagree in terms of story. I think one story is the most solid, but 2's gameplay iterates on 1's. I think like the fact that you can have both plasmids and weapons equipped at the same time has dramatically changed the flow and the balance of the game. So I would agree that Bioshock 2's gameplay is better, but not the story. I hold that 1's story is better. Someone said biased shock.
Yeah,
too.
I saw that.
That's so good.
All right. Well, as fun as it was to go back down memory lane, it is time to get back to the speedrun. Although I will say, I was informed by our tech person that this Bioshock is like essentially a retro game at this point. Bioshock 1 is actively a retro game, which makes me feel just awesome, you know? Even if it is indeed a retro game at this point, we get to finish this block off with Bioshock Infinite to make people feel a little less bad, a little less
Are you all right?
old, perhaps.
Where am I?
No, we just remind people that this game came out 13 years ago, and now we wait for chat to ream me for that one.
Yeah, 13 years ago. One of my other favorite games came out in 2013. The first Tomb Raider reboot game.
Oh yeah, great game.
Yeah, I love that game. It's so interesting. They shadow dropped it on the Switch just randomly. I was just looking through like the sales and just saw the 2013 Tomb Raider on it. I was like, what the heck? Okay, I gotta pick that up. So now I have it. I may run it if I am feeling frisky.
It's a good run.
Oh yeah. If you like dodging, you dodge a lot in that game.
No?
All right. So one of the gears that we skipped over, because we're doing gearless, was called Sugar Rush, and Sugar Rush makes it so that you get a little bit of a speed boost whenever you interact and collect any food. That includes food and drink. That is very good for a speed game. The only issue with it is it adds an entirely different layer of RNG to the game, because sometimes the game will simply not drop you food or drink. Luckily, on Gearless, we're a lot more execution focused, I suppose. But making sure that you at least examine all of the potential drops is, of course, without a doubt, a significant part of the skill of an 90% run. It's possible that you may not get the intended benefits that you were looking for all the time. Now, coming up here, we have the bird and the cage cutscene, the infamous bird or cage cutscene. Unfortunately, I let you all know a little bit too late, so it's too late to put up a poll. So instead, I will commentate the fact that there is actually a way to skip this cutscene entirely. If you stand on this barrel with Sugar Rush, you can jump on that awning, and you can skip this entire cutscene entirely. I don't think you can do it without Sugar Rush. I think maybe you can, but it's like really, really difficult or something to that effect.
Are you sure?
I'm sure.
But regardless, yes, this cutscene is indeed skippable. Very, very difficult, even with all of the proper tools.
That's just sophistry.
And you might be wondering, what happens to Elizabeth's necklace if you do skip over it? Because, it's on her neck. She literally puts it on her neck. There's just not a pendant there for the rest of the game. And thankfully, the game never pays attention to it. But yeah, she has it on. It's just a completely separate texture from the rest of her. It's not like they replaced her model or anything like that.
Where did you learn to pick locks?
So coming up is the room that we would typically try to, or at least the room that we used to grind for Hill Runner's Hat. But instead, we're going to do a small trick there where we skip. We are in the middle of the jump animation when Elizabeth wants to give us a coin. There are a couple places that you can get the coin. I like to get it there. The other place that you could get it is here once the cutscene begins.
Annabelle?
Excuse me? Technically speaking.
Oh, no, I'm not Annabelle.
It is faster to get in this cutscene because, Elizabeth will give us the coin and not have to stop her movement as the cutscene's already happening. I prefer to get it a little bit earlier where I did because it sort of forces Elizabeth to be in the right position to activate the cutscene at all. Sometimes Elizabeth is a little bit of a laggard.
You want to watch out? I just swapped that.
But then coming up, we have, believe it or not, this is a first-person shooter game. This is the first fight that where you use the gun. All of the other fights, we either use plasmids only, or vigors only, or we just skipped entirely. So this is our first actual gun
In a bit of
fight.
a rush, pal.
Hey, mister, you're gonna get mustard all over your nice suit.
I got it. I'll ring you back once the matter's in hand.
There'll be 4 enemies.
Yes.
Stay where
We
you
know
are.
exactly where they spawn, so take out the first one, second one, third one, fourth one. There we go. Good fight.
Nice. Well done.
Get away from me.
We will be now picking up the shotgun, which is our second trusty weapon, until we get the few mainstays for the rest of the run. But while Elizabeth is justifiably freaking out, we're going to try to find as much salt as possible because we have some skips and a fight later on that really necessitates it. But we didn't get all the way, but it should still be enough for the fight.
Just guide us.
All right, bunch of enemies here. We don't have to kill these guys, thankfully. They split apart for us.
Where is she? Great.
And Elizabeth is going to call us a monster, you know, for committing a murder, which, you know, like I said, pretty justifiable reaction, all things considered.
It was just a little murder. I mean, geez.
Just a little bit. I mean, in fact, we did leave a lot more people alive in that scene than we did dead.
What did you think was going to happen? What? Do you understand the expense the people went through to keep you locked up in that tower?
Yeah, Chili the Ninja is correct. Typically, this game has like the you can't hurt your ally syndrome. But in cutscenes where Elizabeth is taking like a fixed action, you are sort of allowed to sort of skirt that barrier just a little bit.
You're bleeding. Come here. What happened back there? It's not the last of it, is it?
I don't know.
There.
All right. The door opens, and we make our way to Soldier's Field. So the thing about this next section of the game is that every Bioshock Infinite runner is really annoyed. They're like legitimately pissed off because we are looking for a skip called Shock Jockey Skip. There's got to be a terminal that we access in like a couple seconds here that requires Shock Jockey to work and would allow us to call, like, get to the next segment of the level without having to go to the Hall of Heroes, which you might remember as being like a very offshoot place for the game.
Who needs the power?
Unfortunately, we have not found any way to skip Shock Jockey. While any percent does make quick work of the Hall of Heroes, we are still required to go there every single time. We have not found a way to get Shock Jockey early. So if you are a like-minded individual who feels like you are good at finding some skips, please help us out. Please. I'm on my knees begging because it would be really, really cool to be able to skip that. I believe Prisoner's world record run for Bioshock Infinite. I believe, you know how you can leave comments on SRC? I believe the comment that he left was Shock Jockey Skip Waiting Room. So it really is, that's like the final frontier. That really is the last thing that we're sort of looking for.
It so much sounds like something Prisoner would say too.
Is something wrong?
While we have the downtime, I might as well say, when we entered Soldier's Field, I did a little bit of a skip there, where I caused the gate to fall down. I ran backwards and interacted with the lock a few times, just to sort of overwrite the intended dialogue with the dialogue of the locked door, and then ran over back to the gate, which saves us like a couple seconds, overwriting the longer dialogue that you would otherwise have.
What is that?
It's a tear. I used to open them all the time in my tower.
What is a tear?
It's like a window. A window to another world. Most of the time they're dull as dishwater, a different colored towel or tea instead of coffee.
All right, so coming up is yet another gunfight.
Sometimes I see something amazing and I pull it through.
Most of the fights in this game are fairly well planned out.
I don't suppose you've got an airship in there?
Luckily, they don't require the use of bonus or anything like that. So we're going to be pretty well equipped to deal with most of the threats. And I'll sort of narrate what's going along the way.
I don't really understand what I just saw back there.
All right, so with our trusty shotgun, which is
us killed.
possibly one of the best
I
weapons
can
in the game.
handle whatever comes along.
When we strike,
Lots of enemies there. We used to take them out with a fireball, but this is better. We take out these two waves. Shotgun, throw a fireball there later for an enemy that will spawn in that location. Take out this man, and then his friends will show up. one more straggler in the back there. Look up to summon the crow, and in the meantime, take care of that turret there. Not that we necessarily need to, but we don't want to lose too much health here. And we'll basically spawn camp the crow enemy. And that fireball, amidst all of that chaos, should have exploded behind us. So we're able to activate the lever. And like I said, if you're in the middle of a fight, typically you're not able to interact with doors or levers or anything like that. But because we threw that fireball behind us, the last enemy was taken out before we even had a chance to take him out. Now, unfortunately, I know I said the machine gun was very trusty in our friend, and it is. It definitely was. But it is time for all of us to wave goodbye to the machine gun. So please, enchant, give a bit of a machine gun eulogy, because we're going to be picking up the rocket launcher, which is one of the two most important items in this game.
Bye, machine gun.
Bye, machine gun.
Machine gun 07.
She's still got a knack for making it.
Booker, sniper rifle.
Alright, we are now in the Hall of Heroes. And unlike any percent, we're going to be forced to basically do the entire Hall of Heroes quest on gearless. But that's okay, because I get to show off some fights that you typically don't get to see in the 80% time. Extra salts there. And then we're going to run at a very specific coordinate on the map that Elizabeth directly follows us and activates the cutscene immediately. Good. Otherwise, she would, be a little bit of a lollygagger and take some time, but she did her job. Place some traps for some enemies that are going to be coming our way. And then with the money that we picked up in the DLC room, excuse me, we'll pick up a damage boost for the RPG. And then we're going to be doing some. Oh man, I'm a Skyward Sword speedrunner as well. And in Skyward Sword, the joke that everyone always does for every Skyward Sword run is, "Oh man, I'm so bad at the game. Look at all this damage I'm taking." I'll spare you the bit. Yes, we will be damaging ourselves down to 0 on purpose to perform a trick known as a death warp. In just a couple seconds here. Take out enemies with the pre-planned fight. One more infusion, a little extra money. Critically, we want to make sure we don't pick up any health, because we want to make sure that we're at 1 HP. Good, $40 more, that's good. All right, so a death warp is basically a way to get past a lot of wall collision in this game. I'll do the first one and then explain exactly what I did. Ooh, that might be too far. Nope, we're good. Awesome.
Nice.
So we have effectively died and catapulted our way through the door, because you lose collision if you are in the middle of, if you have momentum when you're dying. And we catapulted ourselves essentially to another checkpoint spawn. We want to make sure that we activate the 2 men behind us, because if we don't, then we'll be locked in here permanently, and we definitely don't want to do that. But what that did is it set our checkpoint so that we did not have to do the other stuff that you might remember from the Hall of Heroes, the left and right-hand side quests that you have to do. The what are they? I believe it's the Boxer Rebellion, as well as the Battle of Wounded Knee sort of exhibition sections. We did another death warp there. That one's a little bit different. We don't get to have our momentum carried through the gate, but the checkpoint respawn is past the gate. So again, same principles apply. We're still going to be using the checkpoint abuse and making sure that we get to respawn in a location that the game does not actually want us to be in. Let's get past all those enemies there. There'll be a enemy that spawns here, please. Thank you. And he's very scary. He has some choice words for us. Doesn't seem to be super happy with us. So we're going to preempt his disdain and set up a trap or 6 to take him out in one fell swoop. Make sure that we
fighting Fontaine all over again.
Yes. Damage ourselves down to 1, so we can do a bit of a skip coming up. Wait for the health bar to spawn on top of the Iron Patriot, and there he goes. Right?
Nice.
All right, so we are allowed to do a death warp where we sort of skip the animation of Elizabeth opening the door. There's one caveat to that. Basically, it'll skip the dialogue that Slate has. The caveat is that you need to make sure that Elizabeth is actually opening the door. If Elizabeth is like just about to open the door, or she does something ridiculous, like is still running towards the door, you have effectively destroyed your run. The game soft locks. You aren't able to actually unlock the door anymore. So I will, for the purposes of the marathon, take a little bit of extra time to make sure that Elizabeth is actually actively opening the door whenever she has to do that kind of stuff, because I certainly don't want to soft lock and have to open another save file or something. That would be unprofessional. Nothing else. All right, so because we skipped that cutscene with the death warp, we actually get to be up on the awning here, where we're not actually supposed to be, and we're going to take advantage of that in a big way here. All 6 of the first enemies are going to spawn behind these doors. Wait for all of them to spawn, shoot a fireball and a rocket launcher, and that takes out the first wave pretty quickly. We actually picked up another vigor. We picked up Bucking Bronco here in that sort of sectioned off fight that we did. I was talking about something else, but the fireball will take out most of them. Then we can lift up the rest of the enemies and take them out with a rocket launcher. The fireman enemy is particularly susceptible to Bucking Bronco. So by shooting him up in the air with Bucking Bronco, we can basically one-shot him with most guns in the game. So a couple more traps for the Patriot that's going to spawn here, as well as his minions. Did I take him out? I think so. Yeah, I heard the sound. Good. Do I want that health? It doesn't matter. We're not going to die. We're playing on easy. I say, without foreshadowing. Hopefully that's not a sign of bad things to come. All right. So if we were doing this on any percent, we would actually be able to skip everything that... Ooh, maybe I am going to die. Let's not do that. Okay, we're fine. If we were playing on any percent, we would actually be able to skip most of the fights that you saw in the Hall of Heroes. Basically, we would death warp our way through the door that we just came through, and then death warp or to sort of waltz our way back over there. And basically Slate would be there. Like, that's the trigger for Slate to show up, is walking through that particular load zone. So all of those fights that you saw me do, we wouldn't actually have to do on an any percent run, but because we're on Gearless, we don't have the extra speed that's necessary to do that with Hill Run's time. I am actually going to pick up some things in the trash cans here, because I am on 1 HP, which is very bad. Some HP is fine, but 1 HP is a little scary. We can shock these guys here. Hopefully you have some health for me. Okay, 1 apple. You know, that'll sustain me. That's fine.
Very powerful. I'll do what I can to keep you stocked in salts.
Thanks.
Normally these guys have some money. That's good. Money and health would actually be really great now. There's another... Oh, 2 apples. That'll definitely sustain me. We're fine now. Shock jockey that. Ooh, actually, what I'm going to do is pick up some extra magic, just to be safe. Oh, now Elizabeth wants to give me salts. Awesome, cool. You can never win with Elizabeth.
I remember when I played this for the first time, and I was like, Elizabeth, I need ammo, and then she would give me everything but the ammo I needed.
Except ammo. Yep, that's. There is actually a way to read what she's going to give you. And to like influence it. I believe you use that tactic for the 1999 mode for this game, for the run. I don't know how to do it though, because there's no real reason for you to do it on the categories that I do it.
Oh.
I have maneuvered myself in a very fraught corner of that pillar there, which allows me to latch myself onto the fast railing on our way back to that one station. So you'll remember me saying that we're looking for shock jockey skip. We're looking for shock jockey skip because we get to skip literally everything that you have seen from that terminal all the way till we actually activate the terminal again.
Oh, jeez.
Which you might imagine saves a little time. So
A little bit.
like I said, if you're so inclined to help us out, we would gratefully accept your help.
That would skip so much we could fit Bioshock 2 in this episode.
Uh-huh.
I always thought of them as doors. When I was younger, I didn't just open the ones I found.
All right, so there are a couple of ways to do this little fight, but I'm going to do it like in a 50-50 way. There's the old way that we used to do it on Fearless, and there's the any percent way that you do on any percent to do a skip to save a little bit of extra time. So I'm going to do it in a way that sort of melds the two together. Set some fireball traps. Health. Now we see. Now we don't need the apples. Pick up some health and some extra salts. Place one more fireball trap, and this should set us up for the rest of the fight. Lots of enemies will be coming towards us, but this basically, with the setup that we have executed, we have basically turned Bioshock Infinite into a tower defense game, which sounds ridiculous and strange, but you'll see what I mean. Take out all the enemies here. You know, I have been told that the spawn time for this ship is fixed, but sometimes it feels like it comes a little bit faster than it used to, but that's okay. Okay. Take out the rest of these guys with fireball and shotgun shots. Very good. And this is where we actually get to see Bioshock Infinite Tower Defense version. There are a lot of enemies still left in this fight, but because everything is based on a timer of when that gondola comes down, we really just get to execute the fight in a very lax way until that comes around. So there's our first enemy. There will be two more.
Appreciate it.
Surround him, quick!
And then there will be two more coming to the railing to my right. So we'll just casually knock them off the railing here.
Ammo, take it.
Not yet, Elizabeth. Nice.
Need this.
A little bit of a break in the fight. We want to collect a little bit more money. Luckily, I think we got some there. And then there's a couple more enemies that we need to take out before we take out the final guy. And there they come. There's one, there's two, and sometimes this guy up here doesn't die. I'm just gonna make sure that he is. Nope, not quite. Luckily, he will come to me, and he will die.
Nice.
There is one more enemy, the one that we sort of had to wait for on the gondola, the Iron Patriot. So we'll take him out from a long distance using our fireballs and our rocket launchers. Got a leader shot a little bit, but you know, we're speedrunners, we know how to do that. We're gonna be doing a little bit of a skip here. If you were doing this on any percent, you would have a really, really long jump to get onto this railing, or onto this gondola rather, but we don't have access to that on the gearless route or the Nintendo Switch, so we're gonna have to do it a slightly slower version where we just jump on it from a shorter distance. One thing that's very important for that particular skip is to make sure that you do not move after you activate the lock.
When you're unconscious
I'm
on
not
the
exactly
beach,
sure why, but for whatever reason,
I don't want to talk about that.
if you move after dealing with the lock, ooh, more money.
New York.
What did you do there?
Business much
What
like
happens
this.
is Elizabeth actually waits for the gondola to get to its
Fine thing you
intended
came along
position,
when you did.
before unlocking the door, and we don't want her to do that. We basically want her to jump over the gap that's there before she does her intended movement. So by waiting just a couple seconds without movement, by having to be patient in a speedrun, I know we could just skip just like a couple more seconds.
Patience in my speedrun?
I know, I'm sorry.
Absurdity.
Well, luckily we get to do something that's extremely impatient by performing a death warp in that little gondola cutscene there. Normally you would have to wait for the gondola to get all the way up to the segment here, but by waiting a little bit, then dying at the last minute, we can sort of use the fact that the game sets the checkpoint after the cutscene, after the conversation rather, and just death warp our way up there.
Suits me.
How do you figure they'd know you'd be coming?
Either they've got
all right, coming up is our last infusion we're going to be getting, as well as a couple $100.
Why?
Got me. You all right?
I want to see Paris. I want to see.
All right, so what's going to happen in this cutscene is that Elizabeth is going to find out that we were lying to her. We're not going to take her to Paris.
40 north by 74
we're
west.
in fact going to
That's not Paris.
essentially sell her off
One thing I had in that tower
to wipe
was
away our
time,
own
Mr.
personal
DeWitt.
debts,
Time to
which,
study things like
much like
geography.
killing someone in her vicinity, she's not
there's a fellow
super excited about.
He
So
offered to wipe away my debt in exchange
she is
for
going
you.
to retaliate
Come on,
against us.
Everything's gonna be okay. Will you just turn around and talk to me, and we can...
And we're going to be unconscious for a good while. So if you got any announcements to make, now's a fantastic time.
Oh, I've always got announcements to make. Folks, if you have not yet seen what is coming up on the Hotfix schedule, we have some stuff coming up on Friday, and there's going to be a little promo for our weekend special. We are doing a special event this weekend for the release of Don't Stop Girly Pop, which comes out tomorrow. And we're doing a whole special on Saturday for that. So type !schedule in the chat if you want to see the schedule for this week, and you can also go to gdq.gg/hotfix to see the full season lineup, and tune in Saturday to watch the special because I worked really hard at putting it together. Yeah.
Yeah, so in this cutscene, we're effectively going to be told to find a gunsmith known as Chen Lin, who is assisting Daisy Fitzroy in the rebellion, and basically supply the rebellion with the necessary munitions. We will never see Chen Lin in this entire run. And that is thanks to a very, probably the most, one of two most impactful skips in this game. We call it Finkton Skip, or at least I call it Finkton Skip.
I ain't looking for a fight.
Yeah, you might, if you've played this game casually, you might think that, oh, you know, we have like the Finkton section to do, then we have like the Lady Comstock section to do, then we have like the ending section. I regret to inform you, if you thought we were going to get a little bit more content, we're actually halfway through the game. Skipping Finkton and skipping all of Lady Comstock effectively makes this a very, very fun little romp, because you don't have to like... I mean, let's all be honest with ourselves. None of us liked the Lady Comstock fights casually, so thankfully we get to skip
Nobody
those.
did. That part was so... It was tedious.
Yeah.
To admit.
To say the least.
Yeah.
So, we are going to do our best to get there as fast as possible. So, a little bit of a movement skip there, just to optimize our pathing. Then here's pipe skip. Just by jumping to the left of the pipes, we can circumnavigate, or I guess that's the opposite of circumnavigate. We're going to actually just crow flies our way through that section without having to go to the right. And I might as well mention something here about interacting with doors. Sometimes when you interact with doors, the game, before the cutscene plays, the game wants you to be in a very specific position. So when you're interacting with cutscenes, particularly with that door and Elizabeth later down the line, you actually want to make sure that you're positioning yourself in the right place before you activate the cutscene. Otherwise, the game will take like...
Just want to talk to you!
Oh my god. It'll take an additional upwards of like 3 to 4 seconds to actually start the cutscene. So taking like an extra second or so to position yourself correctly for something that seems so innocuous and so completely not useful is actually, it actually saves, it makes things a little less aggravating for sure.
I am not going with you.
Don't go in there.
All right. Much like the fight that we did in the Soldiers' Fields, this next fight coming up is fairly scripted, but it's a little bit difficult to pull off. So I'm going to see if I can manage it
Gotta be another way in.
without too much of a hitch. All right. Railing. Kill 1 guy. Kill 2 guys. Reload. Take out these guys. There's 1 straggler behind us. Take him out. Take out these 2 guys. Reload quickly, please. Stun that turret. Ooh, that's not great. That's fine. It'll be a little slower. That's okay. Now that he's here, we can stun him with the electro bolts. We have access to the volley gun now. And that was okay. You know, for a bit of unlucky antics, that was actually a fairly decent fight.
Elizabeth, wait!
Good. So what's supposed to happen there? Most of that actually went perfectly fine. I stunned the turret because the turret is able to shoot the fireball trap that I sent out of the air and destroy it a little bit early, meaning that it's not going to get its full damage output. However, even though I did successfully stun the turret, one of the other soldiers still shot my fireball down, so it didn't get to do its full damage. It still did quite a bit of damage, but it left one guy alive that was not supposed to be left alive. But it was, for the most part, a pretty good fight.
Hey, I'm slipping!
Do not attempt to follow me, Mr. DeWitt.
Elizabeth, I've made an arrangement to get our airship back.
You can get us out of here.
And if I remember correctly, I think I actually came out of that fight with like a lot of ammo, which is
From one of our many friends and allies.
a blessing. It's the opposite of marathon luck, because normally I'm struggling for ammo here, but
You're a liar,
we
Mr.
actually
DeWitt.
rolled
And
a bit of a jackpot this time.
But you're also my only means of reaching
Marathon
Paris.
serendipity.
Serendipity. Thank that. Good word. That's your SAT word for the day. Now, unfortunately, even though we do have a lot of ammo, we're a little bit low on salts, so I'm going to go ahead and refresh on those after I pick up a damage boost upgrade for the volley gun. Yeah, just a little bit more salts. I'm so sorry, chat. I did not give a proper eulogy for the shotgun. The shotgun, we had to get rid of it for the volley gun. So please, in chat, just like we did the machine gun, please say goodbye.
Shotgun, my beloved.
Yeah, I know.
No.
Wait, he lived? He lived. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Survived a rocket launcher to the face.
Man of
Don't see that
steel.
every day. All right, so this fight is pretty standard. We're going to throw a fireball here for an extra straggler. But the rest of these guys should be able to be taken out fairly quickly. Just take out, reload our gun, and shoot ourselves in the feet. Good. We should be left on 1 HP. And as soon as Elizabeth starts the cutscene, we'll perform another death warp. That death warp is not that... It's not, like, super impactful. It's a very long cutscene, so we don't want to watch it. But the thing that we're going to be doing afterwards is one of those 2 Uber skips, for lack of a better term, in this game. And I'm going to focus here and explain it afterwards.
And get ourselves killed in the...
Death warp our way past the elevator. Wait. Good. Now. Ooh, running start, please, Variety. Thank you. Mash ourselves in. Ooh, that might not work, actually.
Ooh.
That's unfortunate. All right. So what you're supposed to do there is you death warp through the back of the elevator. And then after the back of the elevator, you do a very precise jump around the pillar and onto the railing of Finkton so that you can skip all of the Finkton section. Make sure that they're all dead this time. Okay, good.
You unlock this?
That skip is trivial with Hillrunner's Hat. The extra speed boost granted by Hillrunner's Hat makes that skip extraordinarily easy, but it's still possible without Hillrunner's Hat, just significantly more difficult. So unfortunately, we'll have to do it a second time, but that's not a big deal. I made my estimate as such because that's still entirely possible to happen.
Booker. It's Walker. He must have worked here.
All right. Surely we get it this time, yeah?
I believe.
All right, here's our 1 HP. Obviously, I don't fail this often, but, you know, things happen. There we go.
Let's go.
So you might have noticed that I got stuck on the pillar a little bit. We actually use that to our advantage to sort of reset our momentum. That skip is effectively impossible if you were to just maintain the momentum from your actual initial jump. But what's really nice and convenient about that particular skip is that if you mash your face on the pillar, the game will simply just sort of allow you to sort of reset your momentum and redirect it towards the ledge that we were going for. We can perform a death warp past this gate as well, because the game is still, I know people hate the phrase the game gets confused, but the game is confused and doesn't exactly know where to place us, because we're in sort of like a weird like state where they doesn't know where to put the checkpoint. So it compensates for that by basically not giving us a checkpoint. What ends up happening is the game will just sort of respawn us in place, which is really useful because there's no way really around that gate if you did not do that section properly. There's no like way to bypass that gate. So luckily, like the stars aligned and those two skips can be done sort of in a row, because otherwise we would be stuck there. Being able to skip Finkton would not actually be useful if we weren't able to get past the loading zone, but thankfully we are able to do that. We actually do have quite a long fight coming up, so I would like to save a little bit of action for the second half. So why don't we go ahead and take a break here? Nothing else.
Sounds good. So let's pause that timer. And folks, we are big fans of health and wellness here on the GDQ Hotfix. So we like to, for these longer runs, take a little break to give you all a chance to stretch, use the bathroom, get a drink of water, which you should. Hydrate, everybody. Get a snack, and we will be back in just a minute with more Bioshock Infinite. We'll see you soon. Welcome back to Crosshair. We have been watching a Variety Pack bring us through Bioshock Infinite. So, Variety, take us back to Columbia and let's finish this run off.
Yeah, will do. I know I said that I was saving action for the beginning of the second half, but we get to come back to the most interesting thing ever, which is answering a phone call.
Fitzroy. Listen, I got you your guns. I'm here for my heirs.
Yeah, I performed this run for one of the Fatals events a few years ago. Oh, I don't like that I said it was a few years ago. And for the fight that's coming up, I think I said to like shoot at the dead man, which, you know, I used to do, but I have since discovered that that's not actually the fastest way to do this because it means that the door will not actually be open for us to interact with. So shooting them individually with the volley gun is ever so slightly faster because it lets us open the door here a little bit quicker. All right, 1178 is not bad for money. It's not fantastic, but it should be cool. All right, so I'm gonna throw a fireball down here and 3 more fireballs up on top of this little, oh, what do you call it? Building? What's on the building? What would you call this? Platform, yeah, a raised
Kind of like crow's nest almost.
A little bit. As you have seen, a lot of the fights in this game come down to a little bit of unfair spawn camping tactics, which is fine, you know. This isn't PvP. No one's gonna ban us or, you know, be mad at us, try to report us, you know. This isn't Call of Duty or Valorant. We'll be fine. All right. So we get to do Call of Duty. We get to do Tower Defense Bioshock Infinite version 2.0 while we just sort of stand in this corner and wait for the enemies to come to us. Most notably, this handyman enemy. Now, the handyman is so interesting because we actually pick up one entire upgrade just to beat him, just to make beating him a little bit easier.
Wow.
Wow, that was a great fight. Sometimes those traps that I place down actually don't do their job, but they seem to do a good job this time. But yeah, we pick up Murder of Crows. That vigor that, you know, as you might imagine, saw me shoot a bunch of crows out of my fists. We picked that up specifically for the handyman because the handyman is for, I'm sure there's a lore reason, but for mechanically enigmatic reasons, is weak to Murder of Crows. So by shooting it in the face with some crows, we are able to take it out easily without having to worry about it punching us in the face consistently. Speaking of Murder of Crows, something that I did that maybe I should have mentioned earlier, but it wasn't relevant at the time, is I did a little bit of a skip with the vigors. Typically, when you pick up a vigor, especially in its like first time that you can pick it up location, its initial spawn point, you might say, there's like this really, really long cutscene that plays. It's basically an introduction to how the vigor works and how it is affecting Booker.
What are you doing in there?
You can circumvent that. You don't actually have to watch that cutscene, and all you have to do is pick up the vigor in a place that is not its initial spawn location. So, for example, when we picked up Devil's Kiss off that table on the rooftops of Comstock of Columbia, we didn't get the cutscene because we didn't pick it up its initial spawn location, which would have been after we take out the firemen. Similarly, when we took out the crow enemy with, you know, those 2 fireball traps that you might remember, he dropped Murder of Crows, but we didn't pick it up because we would have had to watch the Murder of Crows cutscene. We definitely don't want to do that. So we waited until the Soldiers Field fight to pick it up because that would have basically alleviates us from having to watch the cutscene in its entirety.
Or Paris.
Oh, I love the cutscenes. I think they're very well done. It's just, you know, we're trying to be fast. We have a secondary prerogative here. Besides
we don't have time
aesthetic
for cutscenes.
Do you know what that looks like?
I don't know.
Help me find it! Elizabeth! Hang on to something!
Earlier on, I mentioned that Tomb Raider 2013 is one of my favorite games. Something that, for some reason, I noticed way more in that game than Bioshock Infinite is, if you've played the 2013 Tomb Raider game, you are very familiar with the phrase, "She should be dead." Like, in this cutscene, she should just be dead. There's no way she survives that. And I was a lot more a lot more harsh on that game than I am Infinite. Upon replaying Infinite to start learning the speedrun, I noticed that there were... I noticed that there were a lot of times where I was like, Booker should be dead. I don't know why I was so lenient on the game when I first played through it relative to Tomb Raider, but yeah, Booker should not survive this whole ordeal. But you know,
we can use spells out of our hands and stuff, so I feel like there's a little bit of a disbelief suspension that forgives it. Tomb Raider is a little bit more realistic.
Okay, to be fair also to Booker, he does have a shield. He does have a magical shield composed of yellow liquid. So maybe that's what's saving him from certain death. All right, so coming up is one of the most difficult fights casually in the game. If you have played this game, you might actually be familiar with it. This fight is actually really, really tough. Thankfully, I just performed a skip that makes us so we don't have to do that fight at all. The trigger is very easy to jump over, and by jumping on the railing and then jumping to the right of that railing, you have effectively skipped the trigger. You do not have to do that fight at all. So even a fight that's like actually fairly difficult to do even on glitchless speedruns, we just get to ignore entirely. All right, you might have also noticed me run away from Elizabeth, and that's not just because I'm scared of her. It's mostly because if Elizabeth is in the middle of a lockpicking animation, if you run far enough away from Elizabeth, the door will just open. You don't actually have to wait for the cutscene to play out as intended. So we have her open the door, run towards that staircase, run all the way back, and the door will be opened by that point. All right, we're also going to be performing a skip that's actually extremely inconsistent with it. So let's see if we can actually get it. I'm going to be standing on the railing, waiting for a very specific time to jump off the railing.
None of the prophet's magic is rubbing off on you.
It does not look like it worked. All right, that's okay. I will do the fight as intended. Fine game. You win this round. Yes. Yeah, that's a really tough skip. Basically, what you're trying to do is jump off that railing in such a manner where the enemy spawn locations are sort of reset to a point where they're not actually supposed to be. What that will do is, as we have discussed, when enemies are not aggroed, you can interact with things. But as soon as as much as see the foremost atom of your big toe, they'll get aggroed and you'll be completely screwed. So,
No, you didn't. Right.
What you want to do is jump off the railing, reset their positions, and then very carefully walk around all of the enemies to unlock the door, wait for the door to unlock, and then sort of bypass the enemies that way. But it's fairly precise, and you know, it's one of those things that doesn't lose too much time because the fight is not that long. But you know, for a speedrun, we prefer to get everything that we can.
We sometimes
Be a cool skip to get too.
exactly.
It would be odder if we didn't.
How do you suppose they manage that?
I'll get back to you after I figure out the floating city bit.
All right.
Come on, Tom, stop.
So, we do have another death warp coming up. I'm going to damage myself down just a little bit, just to sort of get ourselves ready. And then we're going to go on a bit of a shopping spree. We've been picking up money all throughout this run, and this is one of 2 stations that we're going to be using it. I have 537 left, which should be just enough for the second upgrade that we need to get. But in the meantime, this should be good. Ooh, that's a little scary. I did not want to lose all of my health there, but we'll make it work. All right, so we have a death warp coming up. This is not a death warp that lets you skip past checkpoints as we have seen in the Hall of Heroes, but it will reset enemy positions. So what we're going to do is death warp away through this gate. The enemy positions will reset.
Get up! Booker!
And because they have reset and they're unaggroed, we can unlock the door
Elizabeth?
I'll give it a whirl.
safely, hopefully. Very nice. So that happened to do that extremely long fight that takes place in that room. You remember that fight if you played this casually. It's excruciating how long that fight is.
We won't be able to return.
Can you open this?
It's a simple dual dial lock. My book said most fools keep the combination no more than 20 feet away.
All right, so we got a little bit of a long cutscene here
This might be it.
with
Why are you so keen on
Songbird
lockpicking that
coming to
code?
accost us one more
Put a
time.
person in a cage that developed.
Did you say announcement time?
I didn't, but you made a good inference. Go for it.
I try to time my moments. So, yeah, folks, the YouTube where we store all of our VODs is over at youtube.com/gamesdonequick. So if you missed out on, say, GDQ, which just happened a couple weeks ago, or any of our previous Hotfix shows or side events like Frame Tells and Black and Flash, head on over to youtube.com/gamesdonequick and subscribe and ring the little bell for notifications. And if you're watching over on YouTube, hello, you should come follow us at twitch.tv/gamesdonequick, and you can watch these runs live. I'm just saying you should probably do that because that'd be very cool if you did. Anyways, Variety, how's the run looking so far? How are we looking on things?
Run is, well, you know, aside from
Elizabeth.
the missed Finkton skip, actually things have been going remarkably well. It's one of those things.
I will stop him.
This run lives and dies by perfect execution, and none of the tricks in this run are like excruciatingly difficult. Like they're all very accessible, I would say. I'm biased, of course, but like a good friend of mine just like saw me run the game and decided, hey, I'm going to learn this on Switch. Took them a couple weeks and they did a run, and it was really cool to see. Like, it's a very accessible run. But what that means is that if you screw it up, the run is over. There's not a ton of leeway. So, despite most things going well, obviously it would have been better for everything to go well. But I'm not going to sit here and complain about that. The rest of it has been pretty good.
Look, Fox are tearing.
Okay, so coming up we have one of two gate skips, and I'm going to be doing it the really cool and epic way. There's a significantly more optimal way to do this, but I'm going to do it the cool and epic way because I think it looks cooler.
Heck yeah.
So I'm going to come over here and use my new undertow ability, which lets me drag enemies around. Pull them through this gate. I'm going to lift them up with my bucking bronco ability. And then I'm going to charge over the fence. Good. With my other vigor that I picked up. Super fun
cool.
skip. That is one of two ways to do that gate skip. The other version of doing that gate skip necessitates you to... Ooh, hopefully this is enough. Oh, I was $10. Okay, good. I only have $10 left. That's okay. But yeah, that's the cool and epic way to do that skip. The other way involves going up to the top of the building and then sort of aiming down your sights such that you get over the top of the gate that way. That method is significantly less consistent on the Switch or any game version that does not have a full 300 frames per second. In fact, I do call it the cool and epic way to do that skip because I think it is the cool and epic way to do that skip. But for us playing on the Switch version, it's actually the most optimal way to do it. So I get to kill two birds with one stone, I suppose. Now everyone remembers this. This is the Lady Comstock section, and we absolutely do not want to do that. So we're going to do a little bit of a death warp through that door. But the thing with that door is that it spawns us all the way back here. It doesn't spawn us where we need to actually go to progress in the game. However, it did set a checkpoint. So what we're going to do is we're going to play the floor is lava here really, really carefully, avoiding touching the ground at all costs, rather. And then we'll be doing a double jump across the left-hand side of this area, And we will abuse the fact that the game set the checkpoint past the gate, and we'll be able to skip all of the Lady Comstock section.
That was cool.
Now, if you were playing on any percent with the Hill Runner's hat gear, you would be able to skip this next cutscene with a very, very precise skip that I only get like 1 out of 5 times. I think Gulch is still watching the run, so Gulch, are you able to get this particular cutscene skip like immediately, like lickety split, or does it take you a couple tries? Because it always takes me at least 1 or 2 tries. But yeah, for us on Gearless, especially on the Switch version, we just sort of have to watch the cutscene. It's okay, it's a cool cutscene, but you know, any percent does have its merits.
I'm waiting for Gulch's comment to be like, yeah, I do that like 10 times before I have breakfast every morning, so it's super easy.
It definitely takes you a few tries. It's tough. It's very tough. Basically, what it requires you to do is speed boost yourself off of the railing, jump in a very specifically precise part of like the big cord, like the big cables that are sort of holding the bridge up, and then walking like 2 steps. Like it's almost like 1.75 steps. It's like a weird number of steps. You walk like 1.75 steps, and then you jump off to the right, and that skips the cutscene. Unfortunately, it is not possible without Hill Runner's hat. So on Gearless, we do have to watch it, but that's okay. Because I don't think there's a single bad cutscene in this game. Or at least one that's not cinematic, at the very least.
They're very cinematic, that is true.
All right, coming up is one of my favorite skips of the game. You might remember Raffle Skip, which is the one that we did where we jumped on the sign in the very beginning of the game and skipped all of the Raffle segment. That skip and the skip... What the heck? That skip and the skip we're about to do are skips that I would consider extraordinarily beginner-friendly and would recommend every single person to try, honestly. Like, if this looks interesting to you, or even if it doesn't look interesting to you, even if you have no intent on speedrunning the game, just try this trick because it's really, really awesome and very accessible. We're going to stand next to this George Washington person and aim towards the turrets up here and then use our charge ability, and that skips basically all of the asylum segment. We don't have to do any of it now. Extremely accessible. One of the easiest tricks in this game. And I really recommend you try it, honestly. It's just like, it's like the perfect combination of like flashy and also extraordinarily easy to understand. Like, the way that charge works is that if you are close enough to an enemy and you sort of have it in your sights and you don't have any obstructions to line of sight, you are able to basically teleport yourself to that enemy. And we're going to basically make use of that property to get past on those turrets that exist because they are considered to be enemies. Now, weirdly enough, there is like a small void plane that makes it so you can't actually you can't get back down. So if you really like the rest of the asylum, let's say that you did the skip and we're like, actually I actually do like the asylum quite a bit, you actually cannot do the rest of the asylum. You will soft lock yourself. So be very careful. It's a one-use kind of trick. Speaking of one-use tricks that can soft lock you, I just performed another death warp just to skip that cutscene and spawn us at the very bottom of the elevator. What that does is prevent us from having to wait for the elevator to go all the way down. The reason I call it a skip that soft locked you is because if you do it too early, the Lutesses will be here, but the Elizabeth torture cutscene will not be here, which means that the Lutesses will just sort of perpetually block your way without any cause, and you're just sort of stuck here for the rest of time. Luckily, I waited for the right amount of time. In fact, I waited a little bit longer than the right amount of time because that would be really, really bad to do for a showcase, but that's okay.
Slides into its terminal stage. It took all I had left in me just to bring you here.
Elizabeth, I don't understand.
So coming up, it's just a long cutscene, but you might remember when we were running all the way through Finkton that I mentioned that sometimes there are interactive prompts that you want to activate from a very certain angle, otherwise you're going to incur additional time loss because the game will try to put you in a specific position before the cutscene plays. After Elizabeth sort of waxes poetic a little bit about the burning city here, we're going to want to stand like here-ish. And for some reason, I found that looking at a character's neck is like one of the fastest ways to get the game to put you in proper position correctly. That's not always the case, but like, for example, interacting with Elizabeth at the very end of the game, looking at her neck is really consistent. Looking at this Elizabeth's neck is really consistent. But it doesn't always work, but
he always stops you.
Yes, but I would find a way.
Whatever we need to save a couple, even half seconds down the line, we absolutely take that opportunity as speedrunners.
Yours and hers.
There's a joke to be made in here that like Elizabeth didn't save any seconds, something, because a lot of time has passed.
She'll know how to read it.
There's a joke in there somewhere. I have to workshop that one a bit.
Somewhere.
My son would.
How not to become me.
Has there ever been a hotfix idea submitted for like a stand-up comedy hotfix show?
So we had there was a running joke that we had a long time ago. So I'm assuming you're familiar with the runner Teddy Ross, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's actually he's Shasta's brother, actually, which is very cool. Another hotfix show runner.
Really?
So somebody had the idea of they sort of pitched it to me as like, oh, Dane and Teddy would be like Abbott and Costello, and then I went, oh my god, what if we did a panel at a mainline event of me and Teddy reenacting like Laurel and Hardy sketches?
Oh my gosh.
Which would be really funny.
That would be extremely
we never went through with that idea, but that would just be very chaotic and would absolutely fit my personality.
I think that's something to run with. I'm not gonna lie. I don't use my position of power as like a way to get what I want, but I might abuse that power in this specific instance because that sounds awesome.
I'll have to hit up Teddy and be like, yo, what if we did a panel at SGDQ?
So,
Elizabeth, I'll be right there.
Most of that segment was fairly standard. You notice that I actually moved myself past Elizabeth in this little room here, because otherwise the game would very slowly move me over to start this cutscene. So I did some of the game's job before it. One thing that you might have noticed is that I was very low on health. If you thought I was going to die,
Help me with this.
that's not impossible, but we do actually want to be on low health here because we're going to be performing a death warp into a second death warp once the next scene starts. So being at low health is perfect. We want to make sure that we take out some enemies because they can get in our way. But we don't want to take out so many enemies where there's no opportunity to damage down for free.
We're going to find an airship and we'll leave Paris, Elizabeth. Remember, you wanted to go
We're not leaving. We are going to find Comstock.
Why?
You saw what he turns me into. I will not allow that.
And so what, you're going to kill him?
This is where you start moralizing, Booker. You forget. I know you.
I'm not going to let you kill him.
Really? Booker? What are you going to do to stop me?
Not a damn thing.
All right, what are we going to do to stop Comstock? We're going to shoot ourselves in the feet. That will make it so that we don't have to actually run all the way to the gate that we're supposed to go to. We will spawn a little bit closer to it so that it saves like a few seconds. But
all done.
all right, good. There's a little bit of risk involved with that, because if you don't damage yourself enough for the second death warp, then you're sort of stuck, like damaging yourself down when you could actually just be progressing.
Did she say
But
anything about this?
luckily, we know how to avoid that. You might remember, all the way back in the Hall of Heroes, I had mentioned that if Elizabeth is in the middle of a lockpicking animation, you absolutely do not want to interrupt her or do a death warp until she's actively picking the lock like that. If I actually did this in practice on stream a couple days ago, I accidentally death warped here before Elizabeth started picking the lock. That soft locks your game irreparably. You are just done. Other than like resetting the checkpoint, obviously. But ideally we don't actually have to do that. All right. So in this fight, we are introduced to very classic early 2010 game design, where smaller grunt enemies will not stop spawning, or there will be how should I say, not a punishment. What is the word I'm looking for? Consequences. You will incur consequences if you don't kill the bigger sort of elite enemies before you kill the smaller enemies. The game will keep respawning, or you'll be met with some time loss for enemies if you don't take them out in a certain order. That absolutely applies here. And what I mean by that is if you don't take out the elite enemies before you take out the small fries, the small sort of foot soldiers, what happens is this gondola that I'm currently standing on does not spawn in for like a good 10 or 15 so-ish seconds. Really, really bad. So you want to make sure that you are very precisely taking out the Iron Patriot, then the Iron Patriot, then the volley gun guy. Then you can take out the small fries and everything will be fine.
Do you think it's possible to redeem the kind of things?
All right, so we seem to be good on ammo. We are good on salts. All right, here's another cornerstone of early 2010s game design, which is auto scrollers. I guess that's just a fixture of game design, regardless of temporal placement. But like, I feel like I've seen it a lot in like this era of gaming.
Yeah, like mid 2000s to mid 2010s was sort of like a let's hide the loading screens inside cutscenes.
Oh my gosh, you're so right.
Feels like a thing for that.
All right, so thankfully with our undertow ability, we don't actually have to, a lot of the times, you don't actually have to wait for the enemies to spawn in their proper locations. We are sort of able to pull them in closer to us and take them out that way, because the next stage of the fight, the next stage of the auto-scroller will not begin until all the enemies are wiped out. There's like one exception, and we are currently witnessing that exception. For some reason, even if you take out all of these enemies in the fastest way possible, and you even take out these enemies over here, you must wait for these two ships to sort of go by the wayside of our current one if you are going to actually move on to the next segment. So you sort of just have to leave them to have their little play date over there before we actually have this ship that you can sort of kind of see in the distance there spawning. There are 6 enemies on this ship here. Thankfully, Undertow can pick up 3 enemies at a time. That was very odd. So I push off those 3 enemies because if an enemy falls off the ship, they do die. But I guess I hit that last enemy that I didn't actually pick up. I suppose I just got lucky there, which, I'm not going to complain about. Thanks, Elizabeth's hair, for giving me that extra salt. Come up here because sometimes the enemies don't like to come up here properly. Okay. I'm still hearing voices, which signals to me that I missed someone. Oh, never mind. I did not. Okay, so that's the auto-scroller.
Or we can just fly this thing to
Pick up some
Drop me off.
regenerative health items,
What's your problem, Booker?
or restorative health items, I guess is the better term.
You wouldn't, would you? Look, there's skylines all over the surface of the flagship.
As we make our way up
They're covered
to the
with
final
motorized
fight
Patriot
with
pods.
Well, that must be
not
where they're
Comstock,
deployed from. I wouldn't
but
go near
with
those
a-
lines while those pods are in place.
another tower defense-ish game, but we'll get to that when we get to that. We'll be using charge a couple times throughout the segment because kind of like the beginning of the game, we don't actually have to take out most of these enemies here. The enemies are sort of, they're threats while we wait for other things to happen in the game, which is just awesome and cool game design. Now, if Gulch is still watching, Gulch can correct me if I'm wrong. There's a trick that you can do to skip the second layer of this sort of gauntlet in its entirety. It requires something called I believe it's called a super bounce, although I'm not exactly sure what the name is. It is unfortunately, as you might expect for this game, a high FPS only trick. So we are not going to be able to do it. We are going to have to press the button and sort of wait here for a little bit. But we did sort of get a consolation prize. You'll notice that I was able to charge from that platform all the way to this platform, which is just like a little bit of a time save. But, you know, when the strategy is sit here and wait in the corner, we'll take what we can get, you know? Pod jump, Tender says.
One half done.
Yeah, for those of you who have like stronger PCs and who are watching this, you might say, or you might be wondering why I would ever run this on Switch if, you know, the PC version exists and has more skips, etc. But, you know, for me, it's like I would rather run this game suboptimally than not run it at all, if that makes sense. So this is a really nice way for me to engage in a speedrun that I really enjoy without having to feel like I'm like locked out of an experience, you know?
Somebody's got to run the Switch version. Why not?
Someone has to. And you know, I could use some more competition. You know, I'm too full of myself. My horse is too high. I need someone to.
The lines are clear.
So someone's got to bring variety back down a peg. Apparently.
350 frames per second, Tenders. Oh my gosh.
No, I'm going.
Yeah, that's certainly not something the Switch can handle. All right, a couple more charges over the fight here, and we'll be on our way to the final fight of the game, which I'm actually quite sad that there's not a big boss fight with Songbird. That is my one gripe. That is why my one true gripe with Bioshock 1 is that it made it so that they never had a big boss fight in these games for the rest of time. Like, I think oh, that's not damaging me. I think that the final boss of Bioshock 1 garnered such a poor reputation that the developers were very scared to attempt a big boss fight for the rest of the series, which is really sad because, let's be honest, we all thought we were going to fight Songbird in this game, and the fact that we don't get to is... It hurts a little bit. It hurts my soul.
They did have the one boss fight in 2, like right near the beginning, which was actually a pretty cool fight. But yeah, they didn't do anything like big and epic. Like fighting Songbird would have been really cool. But
I need
oh well.
to do this.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, even in the DLCs to this game, spoiler alert, I suppose, episode 2 ends with a gauntlet boss fight. And episode 1, I suppose, ends with a proper boss fight, but fight that you did like 10 million times in Bioshock 1 and 2 for that matter. So it's not like extremely impressive, you know. It is a boss fight, but it's not like a super satisfying boss fight, if you know what I mean.
But the Archangel revealed something else. Beware, Prophet. Beware the false shepherd Booker DeWitt, for he shall be as a wall between her and destiny.
Why?
DeWitt, I'm a fool. I've set mighty armies to stop you. I've rained fire on you from above. I did all of that to keep you from her.
And the best part is that, as you saw from Gulch's fantastic run, the final boss to Bioshock 1 is just completely trivialized. So it's not like there's like much repeat enjoyment either. So it's like,
Did you get what you wanted?
worst timeline for real.
Tell me!
It is finished.
Nothing is
I love this line, by the way.
locked her up for her whole life. Cut off her finger and you put it on me.
You cut off her finger and you put it on me. Like, I know what it means, but I like to imagine that he cut off her finger and then surgically attached it to Booker's person.
You tell me, what did he mean about my
And
finger?
if you like the death warps in this game, we get to say farewell with one final death warp
Assumed you were born with that.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't
that
know.
prevents us from having to watch Elizabeth open this door.
It's bleeding.
What? Elizabeth, I swear to you, I have no
But don't
idea
worry,
what he
it
was
is
talking
by
about.
far not the last bit of action.
You just can't
There's
remember it.
still the final boss fight to go, which is very tough to do properly. So
What?
I'm gonna hope that I do it. I actually performed this category for the Asian and Pacific Islanders showcase that we did last year, and I did this. Not only did I get Think and Skip first try there, unlike this time, I did this fight, I believe, perfectly. So I would like to repeat that, because doing this fight properly is like actually super cool. So I'll do my best.
You got this.
Elizabeth, stop it!
It's not a word, Booker. It's a song.
Did anyone feel like the CAGE as a song was like cool, or did you find it like, oh, okay, there's like, was it just sort of blasé? Because like, I'm a musician, so I find it like kind of cool, but like, I feel like for the average casual player, they were just like confused as to what that meant.
Will you do this for me? Just this one last thing. Please. Go.
All right, so although we do not get to fight Songbird, we do get to control Songbird, and we'll be using him to destroy ships at very specific times. We're going to be using our undertow here to take out the first 3 enemies. We're actually going to want to wait here, because if we don't wait, that little tutorial text box will show up and interrupt our
Need this thing to make it to Monument Island.
action, I guess, for lack of a better term. We'll use Songbird to take that ship out, and now we're on a timer. There's a ship that's coming afterwards that we need to make sure that we get at a very specific time, otherwise we will be left in the dust. So I'm going to swap to that. Shot. Close. Okay, that's okay. I was a little bit too slow, but that is totally fine. Basically, what's supposed to happen there is, had I taken out the enemies in a proper time frame, we wouldn't have to like walk over here and destroy this ship. It would have happened immediately. But the enemies that I was fighting over here just didn't quite die at the right time. Like they were just like a little bit delayed. So we had to deal with a little bit of nonsense and nuisance, but that's okay. This fight is actually going very well. It was just one little thing. What was actually the most important is that we had enough magic power to grab the enemies from the interceding ships to the side, because if you let those guys live, then you're actually kind of screwed. All right, we'll let those fireballs take out those enemies. We need to take out those enemies on that ship. And then we'll sort of waltz around over here and take out the enemies to the side. Ooh, this guy did not quite die. Hopefully that does not spell danger for us. So we should be fine. Yeah, that's okay. You might remember I was mentioning something earlier about the design choice of having to take out elite enemies before small enemies, and that is another example of that, where if we did not take out the Iron Patriots, what would have happened is we would have been forced to... yeah, that was very strange. We would have been forced to keep fighting waves of smaller enemies until the big enemies were gone. All right, so we'll leap over to that guy with charge. He'll knock us into the engine, which is just fine. We'll pick up some extra ammo here, and if we timed it correctly, we did time it correctly, we'll actually be able to take out this second ship without having to go into it manually. We also took out one of the ships to the side with our newly picked up minigun, because we do not want to have the possibility of elite enemies spawning when we don't want them to. There's the possibility that elite enemies can survive in those conditions. So I believe we did our job. There's one elite enemy here. Ooh, actually, because there was an elite enemy here, the game might... Yeah, okay, I was just a little bit off. There was one elite enemy remaining. You saw that guy with a rocket launcher. So I unfortunately incurred the consequences. I hear a guy, but I do not see Guy. There is Guy. There we go. I incurred the consequences of not taking out all the elite enemies before the small enemies. So there was another wave of small enemies that spawned, which, you know, eats a couple seconds, but ultimately is not too harmful. Oh, wow, the game decided to be nice. Okay. Gulch, if you're still here, and Tenders, if you're still here.
Booker, come here.
This, I am going to claim that this is like one of the great underrated time losses in this game.
That's what you want.
And perhaps you will concur with me. What ends up happening sometimes is that you finish the fight, and then
Tear it down.
you finish the fight,
Tear it all down.
and then the game does not actually load us into this cutscene for like a good 30 seconds. You're just sort of stuck waiting there for the Monument Tower to show up. As far as I know, there is no way to influence it. It is just random. So if you are on PB pace, sometimes, even if the final fight goes exactly as planned, I find it really cool and awesome that there's just like a small % chance that you just get completely screwed over at the end of the run by no fault of your own. But, you know, you play the game. Yeah, you play the game, you live by the game's rules. That's okay.
Where is he?
All right, Songbird. Yeah, exactly. Gosh. You've had Elizabeth even run off the platform in soft lock? Oh my gosh, Tenders.
God. Jeez.
While we are sort of going through the ending segment of this game, it's worth noting that, do you remember the Finkton fight that I did? The big fight with the handyman that I picked up the Murder of Crows for? If you remember that fight, there was a pit in my stomach the entire time that I was running it or doing that fight. And that's not because it's a difficult fight. What can happen, unfortunately, though, is sometimes there's an enemy that gets stuck in the collision and you cannot undertow him and you cannot kill him. And it soft locks the game. You cannot progress without killing that enemy, but you can't find him. That has happened to me many times, especially in runs that I was a significant PB pace on. So I am happy that I got to show off a good version of that fight and not a really bad one. Again, by no fault of my own.
Also, shout-outs to being back in Bioshock 1 area.
Yes, we are now back at Bioshock 1. Gulch, get back in here.
At the bottom of
I can't play this.
I remember this part being significantly faster when Gulch played it.
Yeah. That's why you need to get Gulch back in here for like the last 12 minutes.
We need to get a Switch mod to speed this scene up in this game.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so you might be wondering, if you played this game before, you know that this is a very long and philosophically intense cutscene at the end of this game. You might be wondering how we deal with it in a speedrun. And I regret to inform you, the answer is we don't. We just sort of have to deal with it. So every run ends with like a 12-minute, that's harsh, maybe closer to like 10 or 11 minutes of like
Come on, it's this way.
lazing around and watching cutscenes and stuff like that. There are ways to make it better on categories that are not this category. In any percent, one of the gears that we pick up is called Fleet Feet. It was one of the gears that I mentioned that we don't pick up at the very beginning of the run. What Fleet Feet does is that it makes you move faster when you are strafing side to side or you're rocking backwards. How could that possibly be helpful in this particular cutscene? It's helpful because the game slows your forward movement. The game does, like you can see now, I'm sprinting, but the game is slowing down my forward movement. It's not letting me move at my forward movement speed that has, it has so graciously given me for the rest of the game. The game did not, however, consider that people would moonwalk their way through the rest of this cutscene. So by putting on Fleet Feet, you essentially find yourself walking backwards for the rest of this because it ever so slightly speeds up your movement relative to walking forwards.
I can see them through the doors.
Obviously, on Gearless, we don't have access to that, but it is very funny.
But sometimes, something's different.
Additionally, and again, Gulch can correct me if I'm wrong, I believe there is one final movement skip that you can do in this segment right here, where you like. Gulch will have to explain it in chat because I don't run on PC, so I'm not familiar with his game, so to speak. But
we don't need to.
I believe with enough frames, you're allowed to like climb up one of these poles and do like a jump or some sort of movement tech. But again, I'm not exactly sure. But other than that, we are sort of forced to sort of laze around here and let Elizabeth wax poetic for the umpteenth time.
I could totally see Gulch, like in this part, getting bored and then just doing KZ jumps off like from each little post from one to the next. Because we have to wait. There's nothing else to do, so let's just KZ jump between each one.
Right. So I was walking backwards there out of muscle memory. Obviously, because I don't have Fleet Feet equipped, there is no actual movement buff for doing it backwards. But it's just so ingrained in my muscle memory from doing any percent that I just sort of do it backwards even though I don't need to. Tender says, in the last and this area, you can clip on top of the invisible barrier and walk on air. Gulch additionally says you can do a slip clip to get over and skip the cutscene. You can also skip the next cutscene doing a weird jump trick. Yeah, so those are things that are available for runs that have high FPS, which, as we have mentioned many times throughout this run, Gearless simply does not have access to. We are locked at 30 maximum, so we will take what the game gives us. We will eat our vegetables, and we'll be happy about it.
Yes.
Do you want to clean the slate?
At least the game was kind enough to like roast them and put like a little glaze on them and not boil them and serve it to us without salt. You know what I'm saying?
Stop it.
What all this? Been giving us salt all run long.
Go through with
You
it.
think a dunk in the river's gonna change the things I've done?
Now you're
Let's get out of
talking.
here. Hey, these doors of yours, they're all tears, right? Well, open one up. Open one up to Paris. I want to be shut of all this.
Not until we find Comstock.
Comstock's dead.
No.
One other
He was here.
strange thing about this game is that the game sort of teleports you to certain doors. Like this one, for example, I'm going to activate it from like really far away, and then it just sort of teleports me there.
Oh, wow.
You might remember that I was saying that sometimes cutscenes don't activate until there's until you're in the right position.
Yes. The girl for the debt.
length of time that the game takes to
What is this?
the length of time that the game takes to initiate that restriction seems to vary. So sometimes it's fixed. Like I think for that door specifically, it's fixed in that case because it just teleports you there and activates the cutscene immediately. That is not necessarily common. So yeah, you're just sort of left to figure out by hand which doors are nice and which doors are naughty.
You can wait as long as you want. Eventually, you'll give him what he wants.
This door here
I can see all the doors.
sucks. There's no way to. There's. I don't have a nice way to put that.
I see him.
I was on a PB pace run. I don't remember what category. It was either any percent or one-handed.
The debt's paid. Mr. Comstock washes you of all your sins.
Yeah, I was doing this. I got here, which is past all the hard stuff, and then I interacted with that door, and the game soft locked. It like made me stare at the door for ad infinitum. Like I couldn't move past the game, and I had to restart my checkpoint. And guess where the game restarts your checkpoint? It starts it at the beginning of the sequence.
Oh God!
So that was immediate run dead, unfortunately. So I exercise a little bit of caution when interacting with that door specifically. I wait like half a second because I have to imagine that happened because I was acting in such haste. But
it will only be over when he never
weird
even
game.
lived
Weird
in
game.
the first place.
Oh, speaking of weird game, this cutscene is very funny on Switch relative to PC. Actually, it's funnier on Switch than it is PC for the weirdest reason. This is a really cool part of this ending sequence. Elizabeth, this is where you find out that Elizabeth is your daughter, and her pinky gets cut off and everything like that. So watch this cutscene. Finger falls off. It's all slow-mo and dramatic. This is where the player is supposed to realize, oh my gosh, Elizabeth is my daughter.
Oh my
Elizabeth
God.
is Anna. If you're playing with high FPS, which obviously all of the PC speedruns do, for some reason, the length of time that pinky finger takes to fall down is frame dependent. So if you are on high FPS, the finger gets cut off and falls immediately. There's like zero downtime. Like it's so undramatic. It is like it is like the epitome of anticlimax. I don't know why that is the case, but it's really. I noticed that the first time when watching. I think it was like Gold Street Prisoner running in. I was like, why did that finger fall down to the ground so fast? And yeah, apparently it's just frame dependent. Very, very odd thing to be frame dependent.
This is why I play everything for the first time with my frame rate limited for exactly this reason.
Oh, that's smart, actually.
Yeah.
I suppose the brand is his hair shirt, as he is ours.
Wipe away the dead. Bring us the girls.
All right.
Wipe away the
See,
dead.
this is I have this is how you know I'm a Gearless expert, even though I failed a couple things. But the way that you know I'm a Gearless expert is because when I was first running this and doing this for showcases, what I would do is I would sit here and explain the plot of the game. Because I'm assuming a lot of people didn't quite understand the ending of this game, which is totally justified. It was presented in a very enigmatic manner. But
this is all Comstock's fault.
I don't feel the need to do that anymore because, I would rather talk about speedrun things. And now I know more speedrun things, so I can actually talk about relevant tech instead of having to do the game's job for it,
When he was born. I'll smother this son of a
All
bitch in
right,
this crib.
ordinarily on an any percent run, this would be our last time of walking backwards, but there's no reason to walk backwards. Time is going to end as soon as we interact with the door at the top of the lighthouse, which should be in about 5-ish seconds or so. So be ready on time. 2, 1, time.
GG.
Thanks very much.
Are you sure? This
Very
is
well
what
done.
you want?
Yeah, go ahead and give everybody the place that they can find you on the internet and any shout outs you want to throw out there.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been a_variety_pack. I stream at that handle. I do live up to my name. I have a bunch of different speedruns in very many genres. I don't know how I crewed them all, but they're all fun to run. So if you like chill vibes and some good chats, make your way over there. Further shout outs to the Bioshock speedrunning community. It's a really great place. They're a bunch of memesters, but they're good. They're good people. So if this looked interesting or if Gulch's segment looked interesting, absolutely make your way to the Bioshock speedrunning Discord. They are a wonderful group of folks who will be more than happy to help you out. But I think that's everything from me. Thanks very much.
Yeah, thank you very much for showing this off and for helping to round out our first Bioshock episode. We will definitely be doing more, and hopefully we can have you back on to show off Berlitz episode 1 and episode 2.
And we'll see about that.
Maybe not episode 2. But yeah, thank you again for showing it off. All right, folks, all good things must come to an end, and so too it must be that Crosshair come to an end this evening. But fear not, because the GDQ Hotfix, which is also a good thing, is not over yet, because coming up next, we've got speedruns from the Crypt, so stick around for some spoopy speedruns, and it's Vampire the Masquerade Day, so stick around to watch that. We'll be back in 2 weeks with another episode of Crosshair, and it's gonna be a good one. I'll let you piece together the hint for the next episode with that. And with that, folks, no matter what your dreams, goals, or hopes are in this world, always keep them in your crosshair. We'll see you next time.